Oh, it's Riju.
Alright, so we are streaming. I'm going to give Daniel 2 more minutes to come. I'm going to send another message, and then I'm going to wait.
If he doesn't respond, just be like, hey, like, let us know when you're ready, hop in whenever.
Yeah. We are beginning.
Sorry. My blanket got messed up.
You can join when you want. And I'll give him like a minute while I go get a drink.
Cool.
Alright.
A couple people actually did guess my name.
This will give everyone enough time to like come to the stream. So if they see it, then it gives them a minute to join rather than like catching it late or something. So Jesse and Avrith with Ilya. That's not Avrith. That's Rick, RMFH Gaming. He has a similar Zelda YouTube channel. Avrith is the one that we talk about anime. So, not Avrith.
Anime. Oh, I love this.
If you guys see a ghost in Rick's room or mine while we're gone, please let us know.
I didn't hear that. I just heard something about a ghost and then it went out.
Yep. I don't.
Oh, no.
Oh, I paused the stream. I was like, I don't know what happened to the stream, but all of our faces look dumb. I paused it. Who do we have in chat today? I see Ashley, Jayling, Gustavo, a plumber to the past. Hello, everyone.
That's funny. I like it.
In other news, my boyfriend just won his game. He killed 10 people. Wow. He's dancing. He's happy.
And I'm just imagining the RuneScape dance from a decade ago.
I'm nuts.
Someone all caps. I am here now.
Streaming. Oh, hey. Yeah, so as you guys probably noticed, this is the Ilya and Kayla show. Our other 2 guests, we have 2 empty chairs.
Oh, that's
Feel free to give those chairs names. Don't eat the bread, cat.
It should be their names backwards. Kerr and Essage.
Essage.
Sounds like my mom's name backwards, which is Eluge.
Oh, J-Link, what do you mean about dang time? He basically carries our games. You and Cameron carry our games when we play.
New Zelda? Question mark. Hashtag girl power, yes.
Heck yeah. Oh, never mind. Rick came back.
Wait, quick. Stop talking about them.
Such an honor. I get to be Jesse. I mean, I'd rather be Daniel just because I feel like Daniel and I are more connected in a way, but you know what? I take that. I'll be Jesse.
Actually, funny thing, Game Over Jesse and Rick's channel were the first 2 I subscribed to that were Zelda channels. Like,
oh, really?
Part of the first 10, I think. Like 2 years ago or something. I was just like looking through a bunch and I was like, this person's good. This person's good. Okay. He just keeps watching.
At Michael, we haven't heard from Daniel yet. He said he was gonna be here, but maybe he's eating dinner with his family and forgot, so he might pop in, he might not.
Oh, I'm Daniel.
Yeah. You can talk, it's fine.
You 3 sound good.
Okay.
I'm not Daniel.
Well, Jesse is a chair, and apparently I'm new Jesse, so.
Literally, I have never heard Daniel say A, and I feel like such a horrible person for thinking that he should have said A at some point in me hearing him talk.
I feel like at some point all Canadians accidentally say A, and then we're like, ah, crap, we just lived our stereotype. And it normally happens when we go on vacations down to the States, and we'll be talking to someone, and then it comes out, and they're like, oh, you're from Canada.
You're like, ugh. Oh, when I first went to my university, I had a much thicker accent, but I tried to modify it because I was like, I'm not going to get cast in shows if I have a deep Southern accent. You know, I can't play Shakespeare roles with my Southern accent. It doesn't work. But it always came out when I was talking to my grandparents.
Fake Daniel.
Fake Daniel. No. I am a fake Daniel. Except I'm not Canadian.
Oh, Gibbs, did I already say hi to you? Hello, Gibbs. We're talking about how Rick looks like the kind of guy that, like, he looks kind of like he might be like a Daniel, but he's not. But we just kind of asked him to fill in.
I'm really
budget, Daniel. I'm so sorry, Rick.
pretty shy on camera. I have a hard time being on camera, to be honest.
That's okay. That's why we ask questions, and then you just have to answer. And I'm not good on camera. I started doing this because one day Jesse was like, "Hey, you're a Nintendo brand ambassador. Let's be friends."
Hello.
I enjoy coming on the stream. Normally when podcasts or discussions, I get bad anxiety and stuff like that, so I tend to be really quiet. In person, I'm totally different, or I try to be at least.
Yeah,
that's okay. I will find.
Try to break out of my shell.
Oh, we have 35 people watching. Sweet. Hasn't even started.
All right, how's that, Cameron?
Oh, by the way, I had to raise everyone's volume and lower Kayla's.
So
Yeah.
Cameron says that everything sounds really good, and we're good to go.
Sweet.
Awesome possum.
Now for the part that I hate.
Introduction.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even do them on my videos. I haven't uploaded any, but I just like give an intro and then I just start talking. I'm like, I'm not being like, "Hi, I'm Elia Rose." Like, I even picked a southern name, Rose. That is part of my real name, but.
Nephilim. We
Actually
actually
not really.
haven't started the podcast really. We're just
are
kind of getting everything ready.
What's the news on
about
my Zelda?
Don't worry, you haven't missed any news.
YouTube is crashing. What?
Nintendo.
Michael McKaylee
News.
says they joined Patreon today.
Oh, well, I'll add him to the shoutouts at the beginning.
That's what he said. That's what he wrote.
But did you join Patreon, or did you start paying for Jesse's Patreon?
That is the real question. Joshua Terrero says Taco.
I like that the beginning of the podcast is normally us actually responding to what people are saying in chat.
Well, that's what the end of it's for.
It's a good way to sandwich it.
Yeah.
We're friendly people.
My guess is Rose is her middle name. It's not.
The
actually.
podcast, the version that goes on iTunes, all of the beginning part is taken out, and it begins as soon as I say "What's up, everybody."
That's true.
So.
I always feel bad in all the videos you have me voice. They always say "What's up," and it always just comes out, "Hey y'all," and I'm like, I can't say "What's up."
Oh.
Especially because I'm that dork that says "The sky." I don't know. Rose seems like a fourth name.
All right.
It's actually not part of my legal name, but it is part of my name. Oh.
A tip for the people in the chat, because I don't know who's asking. If someone doesn't want their actual name to be known, it's kind of rude to keep questioning about it.
I'll just stop answering if I find it weird. I don't mind if people know what part of my name Rose is. It's just because it's not part of my legal name, so it's not like they can find me.
So secretive.
I mean, I kept down like anything that has to do with my university, even because it'd be easy to find me if you knew my university.
Yeah, honestly, probably the safest thing to do. People on the internet are creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten good at blocking.
I got
people,
the
too,
weirdest
even under this name.
comment. Someone commented on the top 5 cancel, I forgot which one, maybe it was Sonic, and had a very sexual comment for Holly. And like you can't even see her in the video, you just hear her voice. And I'm like, this is a way to guarantee that you'll never have a girlfriend.
Goodbye?
Yeah, because it's something that, like, even if you get a girlfriend in the future and then they come along and see the comment you left, it might be enough to disgust them enough to not be your girlfriend anymore.
Be like, what this?
Yeah.
Excuse me? No. Just no. My roommate actually,
you have the map.
Used to tell me when I started voicing over for this, she'd be like, you know, if I heard your voice and I was a dude, I would think that you were probably very good looking. And I'm like, you know, we're good friends, but don't say things like that. I got mentioned by Game Over Jesse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, what map is that? I can't see it.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. When I look at it, it's like I just see all of the wrinkles.
It's the one that comes with the
it's. I hate when they fold them up like that, but what are you gonna do about it?
Oh, because it probably came inside of the case, eh?
Yeah, it came in the official.
Kayla, before we begin, can you share the thing on the Facebook page?
Yes,
okay.
I can.
This is all stuff we should have done like 10 minutes ago while we were waiting on Daniel.
That's okay. I mean, I thought about sharing it, and then I was like, do I need to share it? Probably. Okay.
I actually forget what my map says at times because I ordered it from Etsy specifically in Hylian. So I'm like, I know that part says Hyrule. That's about it. And then I have the Legend of the Hero from Wind Waker.
Wait, what?
That whole story thing at the beginning of Wind Waker.
Is that official from Nintendo, or is it like Etsy?
I get a lot of my stuff
eBay
from
thing?
Wish.com. They're all knockoffs. I mean,
Wish.com, you pay like under $5 for cool knockoff things.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of stuff from there. A lot of my Zelda stuff is actually from there, I think. My little lunchbox is from there. I don't even use lunchboxes, but I got that before. The shield was on sale for ThinkGeek. On ThinkGeek with the sword for like $10 total for like a week, and I was like, bye now.
Actually,
but it's fine.
Dude, that broke, and I turned it into a lunchbox.
Oh, that's super cool.
It took a long time because like everything is like really secure inside of there. To like hot knife it out. Sorry, Nintendo, for breaking your GameCube.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, there's a handle on it. It's perfect.
I'm laying around here. Oh, there it is. Wonder.
I miss GameCube.
There's a lot in here for it being so small.
I know. I have all of my portable game devices somewhere too in my closet.
All right. I think that's all.
These are very flowy.
How many people are in the chat?
Last I checked, there were 40.
Eat by snakes.
Does everybody in the chat hate us for stalling the podcast?
Come on, you guys come for the before show.
This is the
Oh, there's 52. Wow. Wow.
Hello, everyone. See, this is why doing it at night is better, because there's like a couple of days where we did it in the morning, and we had like maybe 8 or 10 people watching.
Why is it? I posted it in the Facebook group, and it's like it has an image of Fortnite. I'm like, this. You know how long it's been since I've streamed Fortnite from the computer? All right, we ready, guys?
We are good to. See? Wait, I have to sneeze.
All right.
Okay, we're good to go.
Okay, do something.
Oh, okay.
So it's back up now. I was just making sure. Making sure.
You like our Waluigi?
Start recording. Yeah, I made that.
You scared everybody.
I want to have a. Like, I try to make a Waluigi thing for when Kayla's on, and then when. Like, I have different random things for different guests that come on, so.
Something on my computer is playing music and stuff, and I don't know where it's coming from.
Where is it coming from?
Alright. It says we are recording. It says we are live.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that said that they started pledging?
Michael something or other.
Alright,
I don't know. I don't know if he started pledging. He just said he joined Patreon.
Yeah. And then I asked and he didn't actually.
Alright, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
You guys probably been ready. Like, come on, Jesse, we've been waiting on you for an hour. Alright, What's up, everybody?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us, returning, is Ilya Rose from last week. You guys may know her from some of the list videos and Zelda theories that we have done. She is the voice of those. We also have, for the second time, who is actually on our second Hylian Gamescast, RMFH, or Rick.
Hey, everybody.
Alright, and our faithful co-host, Kayla, who was not here last week, so...
Our faithful co-host, who was not here last week.
Then
thanks, Daniel.
Daniel,
sorry.
who... Daniel, usually, King Bergerson, usually on, not here, but he may join in halfway through, so keep your fingers crossed for the devilishly handsome Daniel. Alright, so before we get to our first piece of news, we have some shout outs to give for all of the Patreon supporters. If you want to have your question guaranteed to be featured on the show, or your topic discussed among some other things about helping out with Zelda theories or suggesting a Zelda theory that we should cover, you can head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse and support just like these awesome people did. We have Megan, Neil, Casey Willis, Rusty Caulfield, Link used the Triforce, Tight-Lipped Gaming, Robbie Morgan, Shadow to Us, Lovable Christie, Key of Time 15, Lunarium, Michelle Jones, Ashley, Monica, Justin, The One, Elmer, and Michael. Which Elmer
just pledged today.
Is very new, and Michael is very, very, very new. Also important news. I guess I kind of forgot it the past couple of weeks, but we now have shirts available if you go to teespring.com/GameOverJesse new. Because it's a new design, so I didn't know anything clever to put, so head there, you can check out the shirt. And now for our first piece of news. Cloud streaming may be coming to the Switch, or at least for Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This comes from Go Nintendo, where they say Resident Evil 7 cloud version coming to Nintendo Switch in Japan. Remember the rumor of Resident Evil 7 coming to the Switch? Well, now it's come true. Sort of. Capcom has announced Resident Evil 7 Cloud version for Switch, which is set to launch in Japan on May 24th, 2018. The download is just 45 megabytes, as you'll be playing it through a cloud service. The cloud option includes all of the game's DLC. You might have guessed you'll need a steady online connection to play this one, since you're streaming it to your Switch. You get 15 minutes of free play, and then you'll need to buy a 2,000 yen ticket to play more. Tickets last 180 days. This version doesn't contain an English option, and no mention of a North America/European version has been made. So, this is very similar to the Rainway app, which was mentioned like before the Switch even came out, I believed, which is a company that was wanting to bring a streaming service for your PC to your Switch, to where you could download the Rainway app on your Nintendo Switch, and then you would be able to stream whatever PC game you have, and the Joy-Cons will act as a typical controller for the PC, and the screen, instead of it coming up on your TV or whatever, it'll just stream the video feed to your Switch. This is very similar to what Xbox has on their Xbox One. I don't remember if the 360 has it, but if you have any Windows 10 capable device, whether it's a tablet, cell phone, computer, laptop, whatever, you can stream your Xbox One gameplay to your computer. PlayStation also has a service called Remote Play that lets you stream your PlayStation 4 gameplay to your laptop, computer, I don't think any Sony handheld device, but some of the main, like the mainstream or like the ones that they're like pushing, their flagship models. And of course, the Vita does it as well. Even the PS Vita TV that you can buy that just plugs straight into your TV can stream the PS4 games. And yeah, so this is essentially the same thing as those, except instead of streaming it from a computer or something you have in your house, I'm guessing Capcom's gonna have like a server farm that has a bunch of really powerful PC computers set up, and they're gonna be just used to stream the game that you're playing. So they're all gonna be set up with Resident Evil 7. You're gonna log in to play the game. Computer's gonna let you play Resident Evil 7. It's gonna stream it across the internet to your Switch, because I guess maybe they didn't want to put in the work to get it to run on the Switch, or maybe they got it to run on the Switch but thought it was such a bad port where all of the graphics would have to be tuned down, the textures, the shadows, like it would be essentially like playing it on PC with everything set on low. And they may have thought that wasn't an enjoyable experience, so this is the better option, to just give you high to max settings and just stream it to your device. But I liked Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I played it the VR in VR mode for the PlayStation VR, which is really great, really scary. But what do you guys think about this for other games? And Resident Evil 7 as well, since that is the first game that's going to be introducing this. But since Nintendo is allowing it, then other games might be able to come out as well. There are a lot of really demanding PC or PlayStation 4, Xbox One games that people want on the Switch. Everyone makes the point that, well, the Switch isn't powerful enough to run them. Certain games they've scaled down to run on the Switch, like Wolfenstein 2 or Doom. They've like stripped a bunch of the polish away from them to allow them to run on the Switch. But now, instead of tinkering away for months trying to customize a version of a game for the Switch, they can just stream it to the system and not do nearly as much work. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Starting with you, Rick, since you are our new guest.
I like the idea. I think it has some potential. Like, I mean, in terms of what you're saying, like bringing other games to the platform that wouldn't necessarily be able to run on the Switch, as it's limited with its hardware capabilities and everything. But the thing that I don't like about the Resident Evil is the fact that you have to pay like 2,000 yen, which if it was here in the US, it's about $18 for 128 days. Yeah, I mean, you're getting what you're paying for, but I don't like the paywall behind it, really. I think it would work a little bit better as like a subscription based platform for the for games like this and everything. But I mean, it's a good experiment for sure.
Yeah, I'd
like to see it implemented later on with, you know, maybe games like Final Fantasy, something that can't run at 60 frames per second on the Switch, and brought over via, you know, streaming. It depends on how well the network capabilities are too, because they specifically tell you, I think in one of their guides for the Switch, to connecting it to the internet properly and getting a good solid connection, you should probably buy the LNA adapter for it.
Yeah.
Just because the Wi-Fi isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
That's basically my thoughts.
You mentioned it would be about $28 US.
Yeah.
So for me, instead of just streaming a game for a month for $28, like that's, you can go buy a lot of Switch games now for $28. It would probably just be rounded up to $18.
$18.
Okay.
Yeah, my bad. 18.
So there are a bunch of Switch games that have been out for a while that you can go and buy for around $20, but you're just getting the ability to stream this game. You don't necessarily own it. So for $20, I could see them doing something that's like more akin to a service, to where this is just the first game, but then they put up like some of their other games. I can't my mind's blank right now, but there are other hugely popular Capcom games that they haven't brought to the Switch. One that a lot of people were wanting is Monster Hunter. So, like Monster Hunter Worlds for PlayStation 4, Xbox One. This would be a perfect way to bring that to the Switch. And then they could even, since it's streaming from a PC to the Nintendo Switch, they could even have it so that you're playing with other PC players or other PS4 players. I don't know how the crossplay works with that, but yeah, I could see the $20 price point being able, like, hey, here's our service for $20 as opposed to here's a single game for $20. But was it 180 days? 180 days?
Yeah.
So you get it for 6 months or half a year. So I guess, like, people, instead of paying the $60 and then beating the game in a month or two and then never playing it again, you can just pay the $20, beat the game in a month or two, and then you still have access to it for 4 months. But if you're never going to play it again anyways, then I guess it kind of makes sense to save you money. But at the same time, I see it being more as a service instead of a single game. But going to you, Hylia.
I think I'm of the same mindset where it has a lot of potential, but I'd be wary about the price for such a short period of time. Yeah, I don't really have much else to offer other than that. I can see it going in a lot of different directions, especially if this is more of like a trial run to see how it works and how it settles with an audience and how it settles with game players and them modifying the concept in the future. But yeah, huge potential for those games that people want on the Switch.
Yeah,
because that always seems to be where people try to get Nintendo, where they're like, oh, your system's not strong enough or whatever. So this is a good way to, you know, come back and be like, we're trying to find a way to get this to happen, where the one place where we kind of lack a little bit sometimes. So,
and they also mentioned that it was Japan only right now, so since it's not worldwide, that makes me think that it is just them kind of testing the market for something bigger. But what about you, Kayla?
Yeah, no, I basically totally agree with everything you guys have said. I feel like $20 is quite expensive, like you guys were saying, for
an update.
One game. Oh?
Jacob Schulroy, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but he, I suppose, is in the chat right now. So a shout out to him for going and donating $5 to be a Patreon. I had a little ting from my phone, and he donated while we were streaming, so I wanted to give a quick shout out to him. And anyone else, if you feel like donating, feel free to. It helps us out. The money gets split between Daniel, Kayla, and I, so everyone who co-hosts the podcast. So go patreon.com/GameOverJesse if you would like. And thank you, Jacob. Continue, Kayla. Sorry for interrupting.
Nope, that's okay. But yeah, like I was saying, like $20 is like way too steep for playing one game, because being me, if I'm playing a game that I really enjoy, I'm going to beat that game very fast, and then it will be a waste of my money because I won't have a reason to play it after. So I definitely think it's probably more of a trial run, and that hopefully, instead of just seeing like one game that we could play through the cloud, it would be a variety of games that we could play and then just pay a base price for.
Yeah. So with this being Capcom, I want to go through before we move on to the next topic and ask, is there a Capcom game that isn't available on the Switch that you guys would like to come to this service if it does become a service? I mentioned Monster Hunter World for me, but what about you guys? Key of Time 15 says Ilya ? Ilya is in the bottom left corner. She... for me, you were in the bottom left corner.
I know Key of Time. He's in the Secret Links, I believe.
Yeah. So
I think if it's the same Key of Time.
Yeah. So he's a big supporter of the podcast, the YouTube channel. He's in the Discord. Maybe he's just saying Ilya because he's like, what? Ilya's here? But yes, Ilya is. She has been voicing a lot of the videos. We went through. There's literally the very last video that we posted last night is our interview with Ilya about all the cool stuff that she does, and some of the videos that she's done, which are like the top 10 worst things that top 10 worst things Zelda has ever done, top 5 canceled Donkey Kong games, which Kayla was on as well. Were you on it, Rick? The Donkey Kong video? Okay.
No, not the Donkey Kong video.
He wasn't.
So yeah, she's been on a bunch of videos. It's really helped out some Zelda theories and stuff. Yeah. Because if you click on a video and you hear a girl's voice as opposed to the 1,000 other man voices, then it stands out a bit more. Voices. And then Connor, also someone who we paid to voice videos, he has a man voice, but his manly voice is very manly, so it stands out among all of the other men as well.
We're manly men.
He is the new McIntyre, or Discount McIntyre, as Avrith says.
Discount McIntyre.
Yeah, which is actually more expensive than McIntyre, so the discount thing is kind of ironic. But yeah.
It's okay, when you were gone we were joking that Rick is like budget Daniel.
Oh, no. No. Did you tell him someone called him Avrith?
No.
Yeah, someone was like, oh, we're glad to see Ilya, Kayla, and Avrith. And I'm like, no. Avrith is on the anime videos that we do. Usually Dragon Ball Super, but... Anyways, Rick, what are some games? I don't know if you looked up a list of like newer Capcom games, but I can do that and then list some off, and then you guys can say. So.
Oh, I already have mine kind of figured out.
All right.
I'm looking at them. I honestly, there is nothing on this list that I actually play. I have Ultra Street Fighter 2 on my Switch. I'm pretty positive, but
okay.
I don't really play. Does Minish Cap count, even though it's a Nintendo title?
There you go.
I don't know. With Capcom putting in the extra work to make this service, or at least the app, which allows you to stream this single game as of right now, you would think they would put in the work to get Minish Cap on the Switch, because it was on the Wii U, so I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be on the Switch. So it's not like Nintendo is
I'm sure they'll open up that library eventually.
Yeah, like Super Mario RPG, which is Nintendo and Square Enix, or maybe it was just Square at the time, but they had a similar negotiation as Capcom and Nintendo, to where, because Capcom created some of the characters in Minish Cap, Nintendo doesn't necessarily own all of the rights for it, just as where Square created some of the characters in Super Mario RPG, they own the rights to the characters, but Nintendo owns the rights to the game, so the rights is like split between them, so like there has to be an agreement there before Nintendo can use them, which is why we got the weird, I forgot his name, but there was like the Super Mario RPG character that appeared in Smash Brothers for Wii U as a costume. Jeeve? I forgot. I think it started with a G. It was like a little puppet dude. It reminds me of Puppetmon from Digimon Season 1. So,
Digimon.
Yeah, so anyways, I'm getting off topic. I apologize. Guys, what are some games? There's like Dragon's Dogma, Resident Evil, Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter.
I was actually also going to say Monster Hunter Worlds, just because right now that's been a really big thing, especially with online capability. Someone in the chat mentioned Street Fighter 5, and I feel like Street Fighter would be a good game to have on Nintendo Switch, but for more casual gamers, if you were more hardcore, like into the fighting game genre, it would be a disaster because you can't plug your arcade stick into it.
All right. Ilya, have we gotten to you yet?
No, and probably for good reason. I just went through an entire list of Capcom games, and I was like, I know what Minish Cap is. I don't know games. Sorry if I don't seem like a gamer to a lot of people. I I do play video games, but I don't know a lot, so I can't speak to this.
You have your specific video games that you play.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few random oldies on the N64, like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, but mainly Zelda.
It's like me and Animal Crossing. Caleb, what video games do you play?
I love Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
I always forget about Animal Crossing, but I literally play it every single day.
I posted
waiting to get a Link cap from a fortune cookie. I got everything else.
I remember that during the E3 where like the creator came out and they had the whole camp area from Animal Crossing set up. It was a really cool thing. I wish they would do something like that for like if they announced another 2D Zelda instead of have like an Animal Cross village set up as the background, have like Hyrule set up as the background to where like maybe they're at like Lon Lon Ranch or something. I don't know. Yeah, or like the Lost Woods with like trees everywhere. It was really good because it seems like they put in extra effort for that Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, most of us agreed on Monster Hunter World. What game did you go with again, Rick? You said Minish Cap, but that was jokingly.
Yeah, I played some old Mega Man games back in the day, but I'm not a huge Capcom fan, to be honest with you.
All right. Well,
I mean, either way, they're basically bringing all of Mega Man over to Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, with the 1 and 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like all of the original Mega Man games, and then all of the Mega Man X games are coming in their collection, and it's like both on the same disc, similar to like Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 remix, or not remix, HD, whatever. Anyways, let's move on to our second piece of news, guys. So this one, we don't need a news story for this. Kind of, I guess this falls in line with the topic, because what I mentioned last was Kingdom Hearts. Unknowingly, our second news story is about Kingdom Hearts. So, a lot of people went out and played Kingdom Hearts 3 for the very first time. Some of the members of the Chamber of Sages, like HMK and his group of Kingdom Hearts people, most of them went out. A lot of streamers who are known for streaming Kingdom Hearts were able to see it. And then I believe it was also at E3 Judges Week, where everyone goes like a week or two ahead of time to E3 to play all of the games and review them and judge them. That way, when you see like the E3 awards, this is when they do it. They don't do it during E3. They all go like a week or two early. That way they can actually get time without lots of lines and everything to actually judge the games. And apparently it's very we got very polarizing opinions on the games, because a lot of people love it, saying it's the best game since Breath of the Wild, or it's the best game they've ever played. But then there's a lot of people who are also saying that while it looks amazing, it controls like a clunky PS2 game, and the gameplay itself, like even moving away from the controls, just the gameplay is really horrible, saying that it's as if they only focused on who can we put in the game to get people to like it, because we've seen like Toy Story's now in the game and like all of these other people. So they're basically saying it's as if Square Enix only focused on the graphics and the world building as opposed to the actual gameplay. So two very different opinions right now. The gameplay that I've seen looks really good, but if the controls are as bad as some of the people are saying, then nobody wants to play a game that has horrible controls. Like even with Link's Awakening, Nintendo has mentioned that they weren't a fan of the controls, but they were very limited to what you could actually do. So in Link's Awakening DX, I think, or maybe it was the 3DS version that they made, where they like ported it to the 3DS, they changed some of the stuff with some of the controls, because at the time you could only use one item at a time, and then there were like some puzzles that required you to constantly be switching back and forth. And they did something similar with Ocarina of Time 3D, where you had to pause the game to keep going to the menu, to change your boots, to take off your boots, to change the boots, to take off the boots, and you would take like 2 minutes to get through something that should have taken like 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. So because you would put on the boots, go down, walk 10 feet, put on the boot, or take off the boots, go up, climb over, put on the boots again, sink down. So it was a lot of stuff, and they made it so you can just tap a button to do it. So basically they're saying it's a very similar situation with that, to where the controls really need to be changed. Square Enix actually has a history of this, because whenever they released the Final Fantasy 15 demo, there was a lot of people that complained about the way that the game controlled, and then they actually released an update for a demo, which almost never happens. Like, no one really spends the time updating or patching a demo, so for this to happen was kind of odd. But apparently they fixed the controls a bit, and then whenever they released the game officially, the controls were changed even further. So it seems like Square Enix, for their huge titles, has been having issues with the way it controls. I've been going on a lot, getting a bit off topic, so I apologize. Starting with you, Kayla, this time. What are your thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3? Whether you think this is going to be great, whether you think it's going to be horrible, as people have said. Where do you fall? And what is your history with the Kingdom Hearts series? Is it something you even care about?
So, Kingdom Hearts is one of the games that I've always wanted to play, but I've never had a console that I could have it on for whatever reason, so I haven't played it. So I see everyone that's like, yeah, Kingdom Hearts, and I'm like, wow, that game looks awesome, I wish I could play it, but I have no way to.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between Zelda fans and Kingdom Hearts fans.
However, I do know a lot of people that are really big fans of Kingdom Hearts. So, like, honestly, for their sake, like, I really hope that it comes through, like, it pulls through, and it is a good game, because Kingdom Hearts fans have been waiting so long for a third game. So, hopefully, we're just seeing kind of, like, the early workings of it, and they're gonna try and, like, tweak it, but for the purpose of their demonstration, hopefully it was just more trying to showcase the kind of characters that they want to have in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Alright, and what about you, Rick? Do you think this is bad news for the game? Because just like Final Fantasy 15, which was in development for like 10 years, this game's also been in development for a super long time. So,
yeah,
for it to be in development for so long and still people saying, hey, there's some problems here. Like, it controls like crap. It feels like a PS2 game. Not even a PS2 game. Like, I've been told, like, a clunky PS2 game. So,
well, I don't know. I was I've been following it. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I've been waiting since 2 came out. I mean, they left us open-ended, and then we had all those follow-ups afterwards. So technically, the game's only been in development for like 4 or 5 years, I think. So, I mean, I can see why they may have an issue with the system, but I mean, they're kind of using things that were brought over from all of the other games. So you're getting a little bit of Birth by Sleep, you're getting a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 2 and Dream Drop Distance feel to the battle system and the mechanics and everything, from what I've heard at least. But the X-Keepers, like HMK and all of them, they did mention that the game does feel like it. From HMK himself, he said that there are some things that are a little wonky, like in the game and everything.
Yeah, and but he's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan.
Yeah, he's a massive Kingdom Hearts fan, so I really don't, like, I'm not worried about it in terms of, like, the game doing well or not. I know it's going to do well just based off of their track record with Kingdom Hearts. There hasn't, in my opinion, there hasn't been a game that's been complete utter trash. Like, the games do have a history of having kind of like hard to grasp controls, so you know,
don't piss off the fans that are watching.
I mean, the like Kingdom Hearts 1, it's got a terrible camera system. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 2's camera system wasn't that much better in my opinion. But I still love the games for what they are. And I'm hoping Kingdom Hearts 3, just does better at what those games have already done in the past. I really don't have any fear for the game at all. From what I saw, it looks good. So.
All right, and what about you, Kayla? Not Kayla, sorry, Ilya. We already went to Kayla.
Yeah, you want to hear me talk more? Yeah. I can repeat myself.
So, Ilya, you stepped away briefly.
I did.
So, to wrap up, basically, a lot of people said it's the best thing to ever exist. It's as if God gave it to us himself. And then there are other people saying, hey, this is a game that's been in development for who knows how long, and it's still controls really badly. It's supposed to release later this year. Are they going to be able to fix the controls? So what are your thoughts on it, and are you what's your history with Kingdom Hearts?
I am actually in the literal same boat as Kayla, that I've always been interested in it because it's Disney, but my brothers had PlayStations and Xboxes, but I was always just Nintendo, so I never had a chance to play it because my brothers didn't care to play it, so we never got it.
And you never played the handheld versions? Because the handheld Kingdom Hearts games went to there may have been one on Game Boy Advance. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I know there are ones on DS and 3DS.
I didn't start getting back into playing video games till, probably 4 years ago or so. And I mean, I had heard about Kingdom Hearts prior to that. So I have a Game Boy Advance and everything, but I never, when I had a Game Boy Color and a Game Boy Advance, it was things like Mermaid Barbie and Powerpuff Girls. It was not anything substantial except Link's Awakening. So no, I never had those. But yeah, I mean, I hope it ends up really well. I know it's a really popular series, and I imagine it'll sell well no matter what, even if people are criticizing it for maybe clunky gameplay or anything like that. I imagine it's still going to sell well, and it's probably, a lot of people love it, I think. From at least a couple of my, I guess I could say in real life friends, they're like, what they love is the story and having all the characters in it. So I think they're like, I want greater gameplay, but I love the story.
Well, that's what some of the complaints were, is that it seems like they just focused on creating these worlds as close to the actual source that they could. So creating the Toy Story world to make it look like the Toy Story world. We've seen Wreck-It Ralph. That world is now in the game, which is weird because Wreck-It Ralph is in Kingdom Hearts, but Wreck-It Ralph in the movie has Bowser in one of the scenes. So it's does this connect Kingdom Hearts to the Mario verse? What's going on here? Which essentially Wreck-It Ralph was, to me, the best Mario Kart movie they could ever make. But anyways, what worries me is that the people going to this event were either casual fans of Kingdom Hearts, because there are people really well known in the gaming industry, really well known people from IGN or whoever's in charge of Kotaku or some of these other review sites. So they're being invited to judge these games. So they may be huge Nintendo fans, or not Nintendo fans, sorry. They may be huge gaming fans, but not necessarily Kingdom Hearts fans. And then the other group of people were people who were huge Kingdom Hearts fans.
Yeah,
so,
like HMK.
Yeah, so for someone who is a huge fan to not just be blindsided and awestruck by Square Enix paying for their trip, paying for their hotel, paying for all of the stuff for them to come pay the game, because that could overwhelm someone who's not used to it, to where they're whatever they do or see is just going to be amazing because they're having such a great experience. So for someone who's having all of that to come out and say, hey, there are issues with this, then that makes me take what the casual fans are saying whenever they're saying it's the worst thing ever to it worries me, is what I'm trying to say, because we're all huge Zelda fans. So it would be like us going to E3 playing the Breath of the Wild demo they showed off and then being like, yeah, this is weird. The game doesn't play right. I don't like it. So if someone's a huge Zelda fan saying, something's up with Breath of the Wild, is similar to what's going on here with Kingdom Hearts. So it worries me, but I hope, since it all seems to be clunky controls, I hope they are able to fix it. So that's my thoughts.
I was saying, like, Kingdom Hearts has a track record of having that with like the casual person. Like, I remember back when G4 Network was still on the air and everything, and X-Play, Adam Sessler hated Kingdom Hearts. I mean, like, they gave Kingdom Hearts the worst reviews ever. And I remember getting so triggered back then watching it because it was one of my favorite game series. But I mean,
oh,
sorry.
I was like,
that was terrifying. Hello.
All right, so I guess we are able to move to our third piece of news. Rick, would you like to take this? Nintendo trademarks?
Oh, go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Oh, you don't want it?
No.
Okay, what about you, Kayla? Do you want to?
Yeah, I will look into it.
Okay.
Okay.
We usually try to have the guests do at least one of the news stories. So.
Well, the next one seems kind of fun.
It's okay
so.
if you don't want to do it, Daniel.
No,
sorry, Rick. Getting confused. Like, I have
All
a
right.
chat open with Daniel and Kayla about. He finally messaged back, so I have him in my mind.
Two people that are viewing, my guest over here, his name is Carlos.
Carlos.
He's cleaning himself.
as they do.
Nice.
Alright, so this piece of news comes from Nintendo Life, and it's about Nintendo applying for a whole bunch of trademarks, including Star Fox, F-Zero, and more. So, after the rumors of Retro Studios working on a secret Star Fox Grand Prix title for the Switch flying around yesterday, many were left pondering the future of Nintendo's loved but most forgotten franchises once again. If these new trademark applications are anything to go by, however, we likely haven't seen the last of them yet. And so the full list that they would have applied for would have been Super Smash Bros., Star Fox, F-Zero, Pikmin, Yoshi's Island, Art Style, Flipnote Studio, Sin and Punishment, the legendary Starfy, love that game, Nintendogs, Link's Crossbow Training, and then Wii Fit, Wii Music, Wii Play, and Wii Sports.
My heart, Link's Crossbow Training. Do you guys know, this is sad news, Link's Crossbow Training is one of the highest selling Zelda games ever. It outsold, I think it almost doubled the sales of Wind Waker.
Oh, that hurts.
That's sad.
That hurts my heart.
So sad.
Yeah.
But before we continue and decide to discuss this,
sorry.
Just so that way, like, people aren't like, oh my god, that means we're gonna get these games again. So Nintendo Life also states that these trademark applications don't necessarily mean that new games are on the horizon, but it just means that there's a potential that, like, the new material can't be written off. So it's just, food for thought, stuff to get us all excited and amped up for life.
And the another thing to add for these trademarks is when you apply for a trademark, you also have to use it. So when you apply to own the rights to something, you have to be able to show that you're going to be using it. You can't just, like, keep it hostage. So if you look at, I forgot who it was, but the people that had the rights for, like, the Tony Hawk's games. So this is just an example. So they owned the trademark, or not the trademark, but the rights for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and it had been a certain amount of time since they had released a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game where they were going to lose the rights. So they made Pro Skater 5 literally not because they wanted to, because there were interviews with the developers where they said that they knew the game wouldn't sell well. They just made it anyways. And then the game itself didn't turn out so great, but they made the game just so they wouldn't lose the rights. And with this, it's a similar thing to where you can't just apply for it, you have to show that you're going to use it. And that brings up the question, like with Star Fox or in some of the other games, Smash Brothers, it's obvious they're going to be using them. But when you get to the things, it's like Wii Fit Trainer or whatever it was, it's like, how would Nintendo use that? Link's crossbow training, how's Nintendo going to use that? Because I don't think they're going to bring something with the title Wii in it to the Switch.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit weird.
Yeah, the question is, how are they going to use this? And I was watching another video where they were talking about it, and they said Nintendo could use them as trophies in Smash Brothers. And that would be, like, they wouldn't be putting out a game, but they'd still be using the name or the title or whatever, and that would qualify as a way to get rid of it. Or not get rid of it, but to show that you are still using it, to have these assist trophies or whatever they're called in Smash Brothers. But then things like Star Fox, with the rumor of the Star Fox games coming out, it makes sense that that would actually be put into a game. Personally, with the Link's crossbow training, that could just be an assist trophy. But I would really, really hope for like a crossbow training too on the Switch. Bring in some Breath of the Wild locations or whatever. Maybe instead of just having Link kind of stationary or on rails or whatever, like actually have Link be able to run around. Maybe use Rivali's Gale or something to like get aerial shots. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But what do you guys think about all of this? Like, are any of these games that you would like to see Nintendo come out with, or could you just kind of care less?
Actually, funny enough, when I got my new Nintendo 3DS, last summer, first time I got it, I was like, you know what? I can't find my old Nintendogs. And I bought a really, really cheap one. It was like $2. And I was like, God, this game sucks. Looking back on it, you know, I was really young when I played it. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. Me shouting, sit, sit, like 1,000 times, and it never worked. So I would actually... And I think this comes from my love of Animal Crossing and games like that. I would love to see a good Nintendogs. I don't have a Switch, but I'd love to see a new good Nintendogs because I'm weird like that. Also, I would like it if they did something with the Wii Fit, but convert it for Switch somehow. Because I have a Wii Fit, and I actually love that thing. I don't know why. My mom's like, just go outside. And I'm like, but why?
But
where I live,
it's like we have a real dog.
Swamp.
Go play with the real dog.
Well, I do. Well, my brother has a real dog. I have real cats. My brother has a dog.
Did you play Nintendo Cats?
No, but I had Cats.
Yeah.
Lizzie.
And then there was
I had that too.
There was crossovers.
My dad got it for me when I broke my ankle.
So there was crossovers where it was Nintendogs and Nintendo Cats, or it was like Nintendogs and Cats or something like that. And there were so many of them. I just thought there was Nintendogs, and that was it.
And there was even 3 different kinds of those.
Yeah, and I used to work
I had all of them.
as like the assistant manager or whatever of this used video game store. Not GameStop, a different one. But I did work at GameStop. But like there would be so many little kids that would come in specifically to look for the Nintendogs and Nintendo Cats things, and they would like ask for the game or whatever, and I would be looking through it, and I'm like, does that even exist? And then I would find it, and I'm like, how many of these did they make? Because there was like 10 of them.
Golden Retriever, Dachshund, Dalmatian.
Yeah.
Dalmatian was the one I wanted.
So
we always got the one with the Chihuahuas because my family has a thing for Chihuahuas.
My family has a thing for poodles. We don't.
They had trading cards.
But...
That reminds me of
they had like
movies that they used to put on Game Boy Advances.
Oh yeah. They had Nintendo-like trading cards, or not Nintendo, Pokemon-like trading cards for Nintendogs.
Good thing those were not around when I was playing it, because I would have begged my mom for them.
Actually, Turek mentioning like the little movies and stuff. I remember I got a game on the DS, which is like National Geographic's like Panda Adventures or something like that, and it's like you just have like a panda farm, and like you can like just like build slides and stuff for them to hang out on. That game also came with a disc, and it was just about pandas, and it was like pandas falling out of trees and stuff. I think it was supposed to be educational, but I just thought it was adorable.
So
I'm genuinely intrigued. I want one about koalas. It's my favorite animal. Actually, you can't tell, but I have a giant koala over there next to my TV. And a tiny one, Melba and Opal.
So
because I still named my stuffed animals. I got this this last Valentine's Day.
Apparently, Miyamoto, who was the lead developer on all of these Nintendogs and Nintendogs games, said his inspiration for the crossover Nintendogs and Cats was the Disney movie The Incredible Journey, where he said making a game called Cats just didn't seem right for Nintendo. So he thought Cats into Nintendogs, and the movie The Incredible Journey, I guess, was his main inspiration, which is really weird, but also kind of cool. Yeah. It's also funny that he thought like Cats on its own wouldn't be right for Nintendo, so like just to add it in with the dogs was okay.
How dare they?
It's
cat people exist.
Yeah, like we can make 5.
I didn't used to be a cat person, now I am.
Yeah,
I have 2.
But
it's a problem.
It's funny that Nintendo can make like 5 different dog games, but then when it comes to a cat, they're like, no, it doesn't feel right.
It's too far.
Yeah.
They could have easily had Tabby, Siamese, the options were out there. Little 9-year-old girls, we would have gone for it.
Yeah, wait, what was the topic that we were talking about?
We're talking about...
the trademarks. Okay, so we're still on topic, sorry. I was just like...
Sort of.
We're talking about...
Old jobs, Nintendogs. Yeah. Alright, so... Honestly, I could see them coming out with another version of this for the Switch, but then like you mentioned the touch features, or not the touch, the vocal features, and the Switch doesn't have that, so yeah,
that would be weird. Or just take it out. That was the one thing I hated about it as a kid.
Yeah,
it was the only time I got loud as a child. I was a very quiet child.
That makes me want to...
They encouraged me to be outgoing, and they were like, oh, this was a bad idea, now she doesn't shut up.
So hearing you talk about how much you enjoyed it makes me want to buy a copy for my daughter, because I don't know if she would like it or not, but she always likes
She might, because it's a very, very simple game, and your daughter's young, right? 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like, obviously playing it now, 13 years later, I was like, this game sucks. But at the time, it was the greatest thing.
Oh, she's back. Hello.
Well, you were making a face for a long time, and I was like...
You're experiencing some issues.
Oh, you're fine.
No, I am hearing echoing, like the video is playing somewhere else, so I hear 6 voices talking.
Oh. Alright, well,
I muted my YouTube one.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Okay, we're good.
Alright, so I guess we can go on to the next topic. The one after the next topic. That was a joke topic. Daniel secretly a supervillain. He's not even here for that, so he doesn't get to enjoy the laugh. Oh, this one would be... Yeah. Would you like to take the Fortnite one, Ilya?
Sure. I know nothing about Fortnite, but I will do it.
Even more exciting.
I didn't either until a few weeks ago. I was just one of our news topics was there was a principal of a school saying that Fortnite was taking over his school because all of the kids would be playing Fortnite on their cell phones instead of doing their work. And
of course,
it was just a funny story, so we did it as a news topic, and then a week later I actually started playing Fortnite. And then I got Kayla into playing Fortnite. Rick recently started playing Fortnite. We've yet to get Daniel to play, but it's taking over our lives as well.
Oh my gosh.
I never thought I would spend money on a free game, but I bought the Battle Pass for $8. So
same.
Yeah. But yeah, Ilya, you can do this news story if you would like.
This comes from IGN. It is Fortnite's jetpacks rumored for Week 5's update. Well, now I'm interested because there's jetpacks. By Shabana Arif. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm very sorry. Jetpacks may finally be making an appearance in an upcoming Week 5 limited time mode. Fortnite's jetpacks were going to roll out in February, but the update was delayed to due to a last-minute design issue. It looks like they might finally be coming to the game in Week 5 for Battle Royale and in a limited time mode, according to FNBR Leaks on Twitter, which they are quoted, "Close quarters combats with shotguns and jetpacks," end quote, reads the description in the game files in relation to the LTM labeled shotguns. If you find a jetpack, double tap the jump button to take off. Keep the button held down to apply thrust. Make sure to land before it runs out of fuel. I feel like that should be obvious, but it's not necessarily a given, but considering it's been over 2 months since the planned release, it's likely the issues have been fixed and the jetpacks will drop soon. So y'all are getting jetpacks.
Yeah, so this is stuff that they said was already, like, they data mined it and they found code where these are basically already in the game. The game just needs to be updated and more code added in so it actually pops up. There's a lot of people that was doing this. We've covered a lot of news where people data mined DLC stuff that came to Super Mario Odyssey. Splatoon had some data mining that revealed a bunch of stuff, and then we eventually got their big DLC reveal that they did for their Nintendo Direct, which led into Smash Brothers, but that's a bit off topic. And of course, Breath of the Wild, like before the game came out, there was a data mine where they showed off all of the what would eventually be amiibo items, but weren't available yet because like some of the amiibo that were used to unlock the items hadn't released yet, but they were still in the game. So even though you couldn't access them, they were still there. And this is kind of the same thing where there are code for these items, they're just not fully unlocked yet. So this is really cool. I've been playing Fortnite a lot lately. I don't know how jetpacks will change the game, but they added in like the we call them Gravitron rocks. I don't really know what they're called.
Gravitron. I think Jay started that, or like his cousin started that.
Yeah. So this was just a quick news story because we never really covered Fortnite except the one time, and there were enough people that liked it to when I seen this Fortnite news, I thought we could talk about it as well. And then of course there is a huge following from the Discord that also plays Fortnite. So
our Fortnite fam.
Yeah. So what about you, Rick? We played Fortnite last night. You, I, Kayla, Jacob. I believe it was Jacob. So yeah. So jetpacks. Jetpacks, man. Jetpacks.
I'm a
jetpacks.
Complete noob at the game, but I mean jetpack.
Yeah, it's like
basically.
Last week.
It's gonna be awesome.
Last week there was Thanos. Now there's jetpacks. I don't know how to feel about the light machine gun. Is that what it was? The light machine gun mode?
I won't be happy until they add Link to
Until
Fortnite.
they add Link. There was one of the characters modeled after Splatoon. So that was really cool. Like you get a paint roller instead of an axe, and then the outfit looks like I don't know what they're called, like a tagger, the person that like spray paints. Vandalism. No. But yeah, like they seem to be showing their appreciation for Splatoon, so maybe in the future they could show some appreciation for other Nintendo stuff. Like if they just have someone who's just like in red clothes with blue overalls and then like a red hat. It doesn't have to have an M on it, but like that's the one thing that would keep them from being sued. Like maybe it's just like an N or something,
you gotta be careful.
or an F for Fortnite. And then like maybe they could have someone just decked out in all green and call him like Elf Boy or something, instead of like the knockoff Halloween costumes that you see. Like there was one called like Forest Boy, and it's like Link. Or there was one called Retro Plumber for Mario, and I'm like, why is Nintendo not suing these guys?
Maybe they find it funny.
I think that sorry, going back on topic here. I apologize. I feel like jetpacks would be a cool thing because jetpacks, but at the same time, like fall damage.
Yeah.
would it be a thing, like the Gravitron rocks? Because you don't take fall damage from those, but if you're being an idiot and you run out of gas while you're using your jetpack, fall damage?
I would hope there would be fall damage. That way people, like...
I feel like we'd have a lot of people just kind of, like, committing suicide by accident because they don't know what they're doing.
Maybe Fortnite added it in because all the people that build the stairways to heaven, as Jacob called them. And then it's like, well, instead of using all of your material for 30 seconds and then falling to your death, here's a quick way to do it.
Because of some idiot, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess we can go on to the next piece of news, which is actual Nintendo news. Pokemon on the Switch. We're at 56. Wait, what? Why did it not... Sorry. Do you want to take this next news story? I have to fix something. Kayla.
Yes, I got you. Whoa, I accidentally full screened that. Hello, Pikachu. Da-da-da. Alright. So, from Game Rant, we have a rumor that Pokemon on Switch will have this many Pokemon to catch.
Ooh.
I don't know what this many is. I don't know why they put that in their title.
It's a simple way to clickbait. Because you're like, well, how many is it?
I have to know.
Yes, so they start this off by saying, in all actuality, there's very little we know about Pokemon for the Nintendo Switch. However, rumors have been swirling for months now about what the games will have in store. Some of these rumors have proven to be quite controversial, like the latest one that claims that the Pokemon games for the Nintendo Switch will have all original 151 Pokemon to catch. Aw, you have your Pikachu.
I do.
The rumor stems from a 4chan poster. So I honestly don't know how much of this rumor I can take seriously because it's 4chan. Sorry to anyone that's watching that's like, I love 4chan, it's all I use. But yeah, so it comes from the person that originally leaked the news about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Well, that I've heard that from a few people that not all of the information that you see is true, but the name titles are going to be the actual names. And then Nintendo themselves have been hinting at it being about Pikachu and Eevee. Like there was one where someone from Game Freak or the Pokemon Company posted a picture online where they had their Pokeball held out, and in front of their Pokeball was a stuffed Pikachu and a stuffed Eevee. And that was like months ago. And then there was the screenshot that was apparently a leaked screenshot of the main character with an Eevee on his head, like riding a Lapras across the water. And it was high resolution, so it was either an emulated older game or it had to be like sourced from the Switch, because otherwise it'd be like 240p and like really choppy looking and pixelated. So they said like, this is
you have a Togepi. Sorry.
the Switch Pokemon game. But then other people were like, no, that's fake. That's just like an emulated, up-resed version of this game with some hacks or whatever to have Eevee on your head. But then that falls in line with all the rumors saying that your Pokemon would follow behind you. So if the game is named after Eevee and the Pokemon follows behind you, then like that leak screenshot makes sense with the news that of the title, and then the I'm getting so confused. Sorry, but yeah, the screenshot,
Pokemon, and screenshots and things.
So the screenshot adds up with the rumors, and it adds up with the leaked name of the game, and the hints that the Pokemon Company, Game Freak themselves have been putting out also goes along with this. So it's like they've been teasing this. Now the rumors that are coming out are all adding up and matching with what they've been teasing, or what they've been teasing matches up with the rumors, I should say. So if this comes from the same guy or one of the same people that revealed it, then maybe this, could be true as well. So
who knows? It also says in this article that there's a chance that maybe this person was just saying the original 151 to make fans of later gen Pokemon games upset, which is possible. 4chan is full of trolls. And then the other thing that like this also mentions is that like if you're a big fan of Pokemon, like keep an eye out for E3 because I think that this year's E3 is going to be a big thing for Nintendo just because we don't really have that many titles for Nintendo Switch that people are super excited about. And so whenever people ask me if I know anything about Pokemon games that are coming up for Nintendo Switch, I just say, stay tuned for E3 this year. That's it. I don't have any hints. I don't know anything.
So they told you to tell people stay tuned for E3?
They didn't tell me to tell people that. I just...
That's your default answer. And then they're going to go and be like, this Nintendo girl that works for Nintendo told me that there's going to be a bunch of stuff about Pokemon at E3.
Honestly, probably. But they wouldn't be able to track me down.
Yeah. Applications are... What? Oh, okay. I was reading it said applications, or I thought it said applications, but it said appreciations. So I was like, applications?
Applications to you.
For what? Someone applying to be my bag boy? Yeah. What do you guys think about this? Rick, you've been quiet for a while. Do you... 151...
It's like I said in our discussion video that we had last week. If they only had added the original 151, they'd need to do something that's different. It would just be another stroll through Kanto Park. I mean that's all it would really be if they added that and not a different layer of difficulty and detail with extra Pokemon, because that original 151 is only going to capture people's like nostalgia effect for so long. It's the same thing with what happened with Pokemon Go. If it actually is only going to include these, I could see with what we were talking about in the discussion where they have the original 151 when it launches, and then they add in more Pokemon with like added DLC later on.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Like they have Wave 1, like exactly what they did with Pokemon Go, which is all of the rumors say it's going to be very influenced by Pokemon Go. So like where someone would maybe play the original game and then a month or two later lose interest. The game would start with Generation 1, and a month or two later they would add in Generation 2, a month later Generation 3. That way they keep someone from beating the game and then like trading it back into GameStop or wherever. So they would just, hang on to the game because maybe your favorite generation is Generation 4. And so you play through the game, you're excited because it's a new Pokemon game, but then you lose interest and you get really excited once again once Generation 4 releases. And then we also talked about Nintendo's been doing a lot of DLC for all of their games, so maybe they could use these as like unlock Generation 2 for $10, unlock Generation 3 for $10. So it does start with this 151, but then as the months go on,
I
really hope that doesn't happen. I'd be so upset if I had to play.
Oh, you would have to pay like $100 for all of them.
More money for different generations. I just like. Okay, EA Games. Sorry.
It could be cool if it was set up like Splatoon, where they give you free DLC in certain instances, or like with what they did with Breath of the Wild with the added armor from Xenoblade. The one thing that it could like help circumvent is one thing that I noticed. I know it didn't happen in Sun and Moon. I'm pretty sure, but in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I already gone through and gotten a ton of Pokemon from X and Y, and then they had Bank. So right when I started Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I was able to transfer over my stuff, but I got it later than when it actually released. But that kind of makes somebody way too OP at the beginning of the game. So to set these out a little bit and spread them apart and make it so you actually have to recatch all these Pokemon and go through it gives you more incentive to use the Pokemon that you get in game, instead of just saying, oh well, I've got all my Pokemon that I got on Bank a year ago, I'll just use all of them.
All right. Another thing was that it'll have connection, like it'll connect some way with Pokemon Go. My thoughts on that is maybe once you beat the game or once you reach a certain point, you'll be able to transfer over your Pokemon from Pokemon Go. And then some of the other stuff was, like if you pick Team Valor or Team Mystic, maybe there's a certain club or a certain building that you can only have access to if you are that team. So then if you pick Team Valor, then you can go into like is it Team Valor? Am I thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Valor, Mystic,
Yeah, it's
and
Team
I
Valor.
forget the oddball.
Yeah. So
One.
if you pick Team Valor, there's an area that you could go to where there's a building. Go in the building, and it just has a bunch of items for like super cheap. So you can buy Ultra Balls for like half the price that they would normally be, or you could buy like maybe certain Pokemon that's only available if you purchase them from that building. And then maybe there's like if you go into Team Mystic headquarters, it'll have a different place. And then maybe like how you come across like Pokemon Trainer Joey or Fisherman Kayla or Bug Catcher Ilya.
I'm a fisherman.
Yeah.
I'm named
Yeah.
Kayla.
So you come across these people and like they're normal. Like they have normal levels or whatever, their Pokemon are normal. But then if you come across someone who happens to be a different team than yours, like if they're Team Valor's Fisherman Kayla or Team Mystic's Bug Catcher Ilya, then suddenly like their Pokemon are like 4 to 5 levels above what the average person's is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I follow.
So
Gibbs mentioned in the comments of the YouTube that like a season pass, which I think would be a cool idea because then you kind of...
they did that
Yeah.
with Breath of the Wild and what is it? Was it Fire? No, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
I
that
feel
is
stupid
like a
for
really
that.
clever way to keep giving people that want to play your game and support you, like giving them more content, is having them all pay for a season pass, because then we don't have to worry about going out of our way to like buy this new DLC that came out, because they're like, hey, we could get more money out of this.
Another thing is that if you look at these games, there's going to be the first, like literally the very first traditional Pokemon games that are full $60. Because usually they're only like $30 to $40, depending on if they were like Game Boy Advanced or Game Boy or DS, 3DS. Like I think it got up to like $40. So like these are already, you're paying 50% more than what you would typically pay. So like paying the extra 50% and then paying a season pass, like that would be a lot for like a typical Pokemon, which they do things where they like they typically have events where if you go to a certain area, then you'll be able to get a download of a certain rare Pokemon. Like go to GameStop on this day and bring your 3DS and Pokemon version whatever, and you'll be able to download Magikarp for free. Usually it's like a shiny legendary, but yeah. So yeah. Do you guys have any last hopes for the Pokemans before we move on to the next thing? And I'll be back in 2 seconds. You guys can talk while I do this.
Off he goes.
I just hope
See you
that
later.
it's more than a regular Pokemon. I actually haven't played like a regular Pokemon game since Pokemon Yellow.
I was the same,
Well,
but
this
I
will
had
be
to
awesome
play,
for you then.
I had to play Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon because they sent me a game code for it because I had to demo it, and then I also pre-ordered X and Y. I don't know why. But we spoke about it in a previous podcast, which I think might have been like 3 podcasts ago now. Just saying that if they do release if and when they do release the Pokemon for Nintendo Switch, like the bar for it is so high because of Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Because we're talking about two really big Nintendo games that were both 10 out of 10. So if Pokemon just like falls short of that, it's gonna be kind of disappointing.
And I would like to get back into it. I mean, like I said, I just binge watched the first season a couple days ago. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like the only reason I played Pokemon Yellow as a kid, and I was really young too, was because my brothers had like Red and Blue, because Green was only Japan. Yeah. And I remember being like, "Where's Pikachu? Where's Pikachu?" My brothers are like, "Oh, we're getting Pokemon Yellow, and you get Pikachu with you on that one." I was like, "That's the one I want to play." I'm not kidding. The first Pokemon movie with Mewtwo Strikes Back was the first movie to ever make me cry. Naturally. And I remember having a day where I was like watching, I don't remember. I think it was after Pikachu's Goodbye, that episode, or Bye Bye Butterfree maybe? I don't know. I think it was Pikachu's Goodbye, and I was sitting in my room and my mom comes in and she's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I just want Pikachu to be real." So I want to get back into the Pokemon series, and if I'm able to save up and get a Switch at some point this year, next year, we just got a Wii U, honestly. So yes, we're pathetic. I'm sorry. I mean, I just got my 3DS this past summer. I have high hopes for this Pokemon game since it's going to be on a Switch. But I guess this is a question I would pose to you guys that have played it, and like people in the chat too. Do you think I should play some of the other ones before playing the Switch one? I want to regardless.
Some of the Pokemon games before playing Switch?
Yeah, because the last one I played was Pokemon Yellow, and I was like, what, 6, 7? I don't know, I was young.
I feel like if anything, like the best thing to do is like if you did go through and try playing more of the Pokemon games, I don't think it's really for like the different generations and the content, but for me would be to see like how Pokemon has progressed over the years into the different generations.
Because I don't know most of the generations. When I went to see the last Pokemon movie that came out with my friend Lucy, and we actually went to a theater with like reclining chairs, and we both went in our Pikachu onesies. It was a treat. She bought those tickets for me, and I bought her Symphony of the Goddess ticket, but she also drove, so it evened out. And it was just major nostalgia. I cried. And they're going through all these Pokemon, and I keep going, "What's that? What's that? I don't know any of these." And she's like, "Shut up."
Can you make us a new Pokemon rap that has all of the Pokemon?
Oh, gosh.
There's a YouTube video about it's two guys trying to do all the Pokemon, and you get towards the end, he's like, "I'm gonna die, make it stop," because he's trying to read all of them. It's
be like a 30-minute video.
Yeah.
Because there are some, isn't there like a Pokemon that's like a sandcastle?
Well, there's one that's like a chandelier as well.
Like, there's some really weird
There's one that looks like ice cream.
There's ice cream cone. Yeah. I'm like, but then again, we have, Squirtle. Like, it squirts. You know.
I think it would take a really long time because I think there's like 800 Pokemon right now.
Yeah. A lot. But I mean, yeah. And I think that's why I enjoyed Pokemon Go so much in the beginning, because I was like, I love Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
And my friends are like, well, like, all the students that I taught dance to, they're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, I only know the old ones. I do know one generation 2, and that's Togepi. Not true. I know Chikorita. I like Chikorita.
Yeah, Chikorita.
Yes.
I basically stopped at Gen 3 until the 3DS games came out, and then I got back into it. I tried going back to, was it Diamond and Platinum?
Pearl?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Yeah, Pearl
maybe.
and Platinum.
No, Platinum was Crystal.
No, was it? I tried Black and White and Black and White 2, and I just couldn't get into those either. It was just the art style was a little funky to me compared to the originals, and then the 3D X and Y was, and same with Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. But I played until Gen 3, so it had a lot of nostalgia value there for, like, probably a lot of my 7th and 8th grade was spent playing those games.
Yeah.
Aww.
Oh, I feel so old for some reason. I'm not old, but I just I just think of all my
about
students.
Pokemon makes you feel old.
Like, the fact that I only know the first generation, and people are like, what do you mean? There's so much more. When I say people, I mean, like, obviously gamers, but then, like, my students, not usually my students, their brothers would always be like, well, do you know this one, and they would start going on, and I'm like, I like Pikachu.
Yeah, there's, I would say, like, from what I've been told, because I played the first 2 generations. I wanted to play the third, but I was too poor to buy a Game Boy Advance to play them at the time, and then someone stole the Game Boy that I had, so that didn't work. Yeah, I traded a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for a Game Boy.
Now you're making me feel old.
I traded a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for a Game Boy with Final Fantasy 3. Yeah. I think,
okay.
no, Final Fantasy 2, sorry.
What was in that deck, man?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know. I honestly forget. But yeah, it was Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then traded it for the Game Boy, so then I was able to play Pokemon. But my first experience with Pokemon was my friend Jacob came over, and he was my best friend all the way up until like 2, maybe 3 years out of high school, and then we like took separate paths, and he went to college or whatever in a different state. Anyways, point is, he came over, and a couple of times he came over, it was just me ignoring him, playing his Game Boy, because Pokemon was so addictive. I was addicted to Pokemon Snap as well. I'm getting off topic, I apologize. So Pokemon,
I loved Pokemon Snap.
yeah, so
because I could actually do it.
yeah, and it's completely on rails, so like you can't like get lost. It literally drives you through. But with so I played the first 2 Pokemon, wasn't able to play the next Pokemon's games until I think I played Black and White, the original, and then I played X and Y. So I skipped a lot, and then played 1, and then skipped like 1 or 2 more generations, and then played that. Didn't play Sun and Moon really. I haven't played Ultra Sun and Moon, but it literally stays the same for the most part, and then it's just like better graphics is the biggest change, and like bigger towns or bigger worlds, bigger cities, obviously more Pokemon. But from what I've been told from people who have played every single Pokemon is like they'll say they love Generation 4. Not necessarily because of the Pokemon, but because in those games they had certain features that they added to it but weren't there in the next game. So like each game have features that are exclusive to that game. So even with them constantly adding in new stuff, they're also taking away stuff from the previous games. So you can go and play through all of the games, but only half of that stuff from those games may be carried over to Pokemon for Switch, to where it's like you may fall in love with certain features or gameplay mechanics from one game that aren't in another. So I would say, especially with the Switch, they're probably doing the same thing a lot of other companies are doing, where they're making the game to where there are hints and stuff there for people who played the older ones, but for people who have never played the games before, then it's still going to be really enjoyable. Like God of War for PlayStation 4, it's made so that if you played all of the other God of War games, there are hints and stuff there to where you're like, oh, that's a callback to this. Or even with Breath of the Wild, there's stuff that's like, oh, that's a callback to this. But you could go in not playing any of the other games and still have an incredible time. So for the Switch, Nintendo's been doing that with a lot of their games to where like you don't have to play whatever the previous was to enjoy this. And I've been talking for a long time. I apologize. Let's move on to the next topic.
Poor Jesse keeps apologizing for whenever he's like, yes, we're talking about a news thing. Let me fill in the gaps. I think it's because Daniel's not here, and with Daniel here, you two just kind of like share that space. But because he's not here, you're like taking the space to make up for him.
Yeah. I'm also going in... What?
Sorry. Also, just real quick, let's be real, and this is obviously said with a lot of sarcasm. Best Pokemon game was Hey You Pikachu.
I always really wanted that game, but I never got it.
It was the one game on the
It was
N64
probably
that
for
was
the best.
actually mine. Was it N64? Yeah, and I had the yellow microphone. Just like with Nintendogs.
Did you have
Pikachu.
the Nintendo 64?
It's a Squirtle!
Did you
He
have
would just look at me and go,
the special console?
What system was it actually for?
Nintendo 64.
Nintendo 64?
There was
that's what
there
I
was a
had.
Nintendo 64 console that was made with like a Pikachu on top of it.
No, we just have a plain black one.
Okay. So
But I remember having that,
and
and it was hella difficult. I had to try and get better with my diction, but I was like, in elementary school, and I had a southern drawl, so naturally Pikachu didn't understand that I was saying Squirtle, and I got the Pokemon name correct, and then Pikachu would just do that turn to me with its ears down and be like, you got it wrong, and I'm like, you are the devil! Get away! Except I actually love Pikachu a lot. And I had my own Pokedex, I remember that too. I don't remember what it did. Actually, I think it was my brother's, and I stole it from his room. I was a brat.
nice.
Let's be real.
All right. So our final piece of news comes from. All right. Yeah, this is it. Fire Emblem. See, this is one that Daniel would have liked. He's.
I was gonna say, like, Daniel's not here. I
Yeah.
personally don't like Fire Emblem, so I've heard.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
someone added this in from the Discord. It was their suggestion when I asked for news, and I was like, "Oh, well, Daniel will like this," but maybe he's watching like, "Oh, I should have joined." Anyways, this piece of news comes from Nintendo Soup, where they say, "Rumor: Fire Emblem Switch story and character details leaked. Potential story mechanics and character details about the upcoming Fire Emblem title coming to Nintendo Switch in 2018." May have been leaked. This information comes from 4chan and is compiled by Fire Emblem fan site Serene's Forest. Take it with a pinch of salt. That is the one expression that I hate the most for. It's almost specifically used, almost always specifically used for any gaming rumors or whatever. And like
My favorite. Wait, sorry. My favorite about that saying is that it's a pinch of salt, not a grain of salt, so you can trust it a little bit more, but not that
Oh,
much
yeah.
more.
So, the thing with it is, like, when I used to write for gaming websites, like Zelda Dungeon, Zelda Informer, and some other random websites, they would use this a lot. So I would end up using it a lot. But then after like a month, I was like, the whole point of being, like in this case, a video games journalist, someone who's looking for news and writing the news and stuff, or uncovering the news, like the whole point of being a good writer is coming up with different phrases or different words so you're not always using the same exact word over and over again. So instead of saying, I can't even think of an example, like, I don't know, just like practicing using different synonyms for a word so you're not writing the same thing over and over. It makes it more interesting. It makes you seem a little bit smarter since you're not repeating yourself over and over. So with this, where they keep saying take a pinch of salt or take it with a grain of salt, literally every website uses that, every writer for every website, and it's like there are dozens of other phrases that mean the same thing that you could use. But
yeah, it's just really cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point.
So that's, I guess that's what grinds my gears, in the words of Peter Griffin.
I was gonna say today on what grinds my gears.
Yeah. So anyways, the roundup they have starts with story. This is kind of long, so we won't go through all of it, but we'll do a few out of each one's. The story, a gothic horror theme, darker and more mature, but not M-rated, more like a Judgral games. The Judgral? Do you guys know what that is? Starts off, I'm already confused. Two sides, humans and Kiber. Probably mispronounced that, I'm sorry. Again, Daniel is the Fire Emblem fan. I've played the games. but I'm not the biggest fan.
We only cover Fire Emblem for Daniel.
Yeah. Avatar plays a more villainous role. Chemist-like anti-hero. The Fire Emblem, a sundial, gathers energy from the sun and the moon, can either empower or destroy the Kiber. Both sides are seeking it. So this seems like something similar to what they did with the 3DS games, to where in one game you played on like one side, the other game you played on the second side, and then they had a third game which combined the stories. So I guess they're doing that again. Some of the characters, humans, Elaine. Again, these names, I hope I'm pronouncing these correctly. I apologize. I've apologized 1,000 times during this full podcast. Protagonist, knight, errant class, uses a sword, upholds the dominant religion and firmly believes in it. Learn to see the Kibar, I'm going to call it Kibar from now on, as a threat. His mission is to unite the humans in a war against the Kibar. Huan, the Jagan, a laid-back, great. We really need Daniel for this.
I really can't wait to be like, hey, Daniel, you watching part of the podcast where we were trying to talk about
like, we're all butchering it.
No, this is like someone covering Zelda news and being like, the Korix, or the Hylians. Yeah, the Hylians, like Hyla, or
like Hyla. Oh my god.
The Zor, I don't know. So anyways.
Zora, close enough.
Yeah.
The Go-Wrong.
King Gunendorf.
I'm pretty sure it was Gandalf.
Yeah, King Gandalf is trying to take the Triforce.
Played by the same guy who played Dumbledore.
Yeah. That's
Zelda's a boy.
The story of Zelda. King Gandalf is trying to use the Triforce to stop
Zelda,
Princess
the dude in the green.
Zelda. Yeah. Alright. Gwyndolin, a Myrmidon, self-proclaimed Kibar hunter, moving to the Kibar. Dracul, I assume named after Dracula. Vessel class, chemist-like anti-hero. A word that I can't really say because we'll get demonetized. Prince. Might be able to choose personality. Mirilla, one of the red and green units, known for their wizard prowess, optimistic and energetic. Miruna, one of the red and green units, known for their wizard prowess. Quieter and calmer classes, there are a ton listed, but the top 3 are Hunter, Monk, Bard, Vassal, Witch, Summoner, Knight Errant, Alien's class, mounted sword. I was going to do top 3, but then I realized...
And then you just kept going, you're like, oh, look at how easy these
Might as well.
So I looked at the bottom and seen that they all had descriptions. So instead of going through all of them, I was like, oh, there's a bunch that don't have descriptions. So yeah, anyways, the last thing on the list is mechanics. Balance of old... So these are the gameplay mechanics. I mean, it's not actual... like being a mechanic. Balance of old and new mechanics, trying to please both sides of the fan base. Returning features, supports marriages, no children, pair up, weapon triangle, prefates, 3 types of magic, dark light, anima, skills, soul and Luna, effects are swapped, wireless multiplayer. Ooh, I like that, wireless multiplayer. Anytime Nintendo has wireless multiplayer.
Yeah, that's when things get exciting.
Yeah, because it's like release a Mario game like New Super Mario Bros. Where you can play with 4 people, but make it so you can play with 4 people over the internet, which is what I hope this means. Where they say wireless multiplayer, it's not just like you have your Switch, I have my Switch, and we're next to each other. Because if they do that, then it's like, why don't they just go ahead and make it online multiplayer? But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Voice acting. Returning artists from the past games. It says 3DS style, so I imagine it'll look like the 3DS games with HD graphics. Anyways, again, I don't know all that much about Fire Emblem. Daniel is the Fire Emblem person. Once we got... Nintendo sent us Fire Emblem Warriors, obviously he was the one that I gave the game to do the review. Otherwise, I would have been like, there are characters here from all of the different games, similar to Hyrule Warriors having characters from all of the Zelda games. But it's like, I have no idea who any of the characters even are. So I was like, Daniel, you like Fire Emblem. Take this game.
It was funny because I remember when Daniel was like, yeah, I'm getting a game code from Jesse.
Was that when he was working at the coffee place?
Yeah, when we still worked together.
Ah. So was he bragging about getting Nintendo games early?
Yeah, he was bragging. And I was like, yeah, well.
Yeah. But you also get games early. Was that when you were a Nintendo rep or before?
No, I was with Nintendo at that point, but this was before I actually started doing like more solo brand ambassador, because if you're just like a regular brand ambassador and you go to events, they have the consoles there with the games. But now that I can actually go out to different retail locations, they've provided me with my own Nintendo Switch, which I get game codes for.
Nice. So, interesting. I'm glad it made Daniel happy or excited enough to brag about it at his work.
Yeah.
I thought he was just gonna be like, oh, cool, and then move on. But apparently made him excited enough to talk about it. So I'm glad I'm able to cheer people up or like make their day. I guess that would be akin to like someone giving me Hyrule Warriors early, to where like I'm a big Zelda fan. So I guess I can see it.
Honestly, if anyone gave me food, I would be like, wow, you were an amazing person. Yeah. You just fed me.
Let's see, 1:30.
Oh, my guest left.
Your guest? What? Your cat?
Carlos.
Oh, okay.
The cat.
So was that your cat or your boyfriend's cat?
It's Cameron's cat, yeah.
Okay. Our next thing is top 5, because we usually, after the news, I like to have at least one topic of discussion, is what I call it. And we just, whatever the best topic that I can think of is what it is. Usually we've had like top 5 Zelda theories, top 5 worst Zelda theories, which was actually one of our best videos that a lot of people came in on, which is us just saying like, oh, this is so stupid, it's the absolute worst. People apparently liked it. So this one
people
is
like rants.
Top 5 Zelda games that need a direct sequel. So this is like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask. I was going to say Phantom Hourglass to Spirit Tracks, but that's 100 years, or hundreds of years, so that's not... No. Wind Waker to Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
I guess A Link to the Past has the most, because they all are supposed to take place immediately after the other, but then that was changed, because now it's a different Link. But going by Hyrule Historia, it goes A Link to the Past to the Oracle games, which can be reversed, and then Link's Awakening. But then it was changed to A Link to the Past, and then immediately after Link's Awakening, and then a brand new Link is sent to the Oracle games, which doesn't make too much sense, because the hero that went to those areas were chosen because the goddess knew he could help save them, but then there's no story of that Link saving anything before. So... Mm-hmm. Like, why would you just pick a random person? Anyways, then there's Link Between Worlds, Triforce Heroes, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, I think. There's debate there. Like, some people told me that it's like a completely different Link, but it's the same Zelda. Or it's the same Zelda, but different Link. Anyways, you guys get the picture. We'll start. I'll do a new intro for this, since it's not a new story. And then we can start with... Does anyone in particular want to start? There's 5, so we'll all do 1, and then we'll agree or debate on a 5th.
Sounds good.
And if someone picks the one that you picked, you'll have to pick another. But before you say what the one is, you have to say whether or not someone picked the one that you picked. So does anyone want to go first, so their game isn't chosen by someone else?
I'll go first.
Okay. Are we ready? And everybody in the chat, let us know what your favorites are as well, which I'll probably say again after the intro. All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, and we are doing our topic of discussion for the Hylian's Gamescast. Next up will be the Zelda mailbag, where we answer all of your Zelda questions. So put those in the comments below if you want them answered on the Zelda mailbag as soon as we're done with this. We have Ilya Rose going first, and then Rick and Kayla may go second or third, depending on how they're feeling. I'll go fourth. We will both, or not both, we will all four go last and decide together on what should be the fifth one. But we were talking about the top 5 Zelda games that need a direct sequel. These are games like Wind Waker had a direct sequel, Phantom Hourglass, Ocarina of Time had Majora's Mask, Link to the Past had, depending on which timeline you look at, Link's Awakening or the Oracle games. Link Between Worlds had Triforce Heroes. And there are, you could call, like Twilight Princess is technically a sequel to Majora's Mask, but it doesn't take place directly after. So we're talking about a game that has the same Link picking up within a month after the other game, or within that same Link's lifetime, at least. So he could be a child in one game and be an adult in another. He could be an adult in one game and be an old man in the next, as long as it's following the story of the exact same Link. Put your answers in the comments below and we'll go through and check them out. May give you a shout out as well. So let us know which games you deserve or you think deserve a direct sequel. And starting with you, Ilya, what is our first Zelda game that deserves a sequel? And these can include games that have had other sequels, to mention that. So you can pick Majora's Mask to have a sequel, which is already a sequel, if you would like. So, which game?
I had originally thought about Breath of the Wild, and then I realized I wouldn't want a direct sequel, I'd want a direct prequel. So I was like, well, truth be told, actually, I remember thinking about this when you sent us the Google Doc. I was like, oh gosh. And the conclusion I came to was really wanting one to Twilight Princess. I don't know, something involving
You took my answer.
Midna?
Sucker.
Well, I want maybe something involving Midna or the Twilight Realm, because we only saw it like in a deadened state. You know, kind of like this, almost the same reason that I want Breath of the Wild to have a prequel is because of how we saw the Twilight Realm, or even since it is in the timeline of Majora's Mask, I'd like to see if maybe there could be something done with Termina. I don't know. Termina, however people prefer to pronounce it. I say Termina, that's just what I'm used to. Yeah, I don't have a lot of direction for how I'd want it to go, but I just...
To interrupt you?
Oh, yes.
It is Termina, because there's a debate on whether it's a play on the word terminal or terminal. Wait. Terminate? Yeah, terminate or terminal. So either way,
I always thought it was
it's
terminal.
Termina. So,
and as a child, I always said terminal, but then again, I pronounced everything weird anyway, so I wasn't sure. And I think I've wanted a Twilight Princess sequel since I saw one of my brothers playing it years back, like, because I was like the 12-year-old that had a crush on Twilight Princess Link. But I don't know, I feel like that there could be a story there, especially because we don't know what happened to Midna. Maybe they just want to leave that as is. If I could choose one, I would say Twilight. With like the same Link at the same age, possibly.
Yeah. Well, we know in Breath of the Wild, like it shows the what is it? The mirror, the Twilight mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, mirror.
So
Twilight.
Someone went, gathered it, and like took it across like the entire to like a completely different side of Hyrule, because it would have been from Breath of the Wild's map the southwest, and then now it's in the southeast. So someone collected all the pieces and moved it a really long way.
Just a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
It could also be the Dark Mirror though too. So
that's true.
Yeah. So then yeah, did you finish with yours, or did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't think of it too much in depth, but I just felt that there was a story there in Twilight Princess.
So, what does everybody else think about Twilight Princess 2? Because personally, that was going to be the one that I picked, so I guess I'm glad you went first, so I can think of another one. But I always liked the idea, and this could also work with Breath of the Wild Link, to where Ocarina of Time ends, Navi disappears, Link goes on an adventure to try to find Navi, and he ends up in Termina, Majora's Mask happens. So in Twilight Princess, Midna goes missing, perhaps Link goes on a quest to figure out how to bring Midna back, or at least be able to communicate with her, because he knows he's been to the Twilight Realm. Hyrule has been turned into the Twilight Realm, sort of. So there's got to be other ways to do that. There's also like the Sacred Realm. There's like dozens of different realms or realities within the world of Zelda. So who knows what sort of nonsense he could try to go on to find it, but then he ends up accidentally getting lost in Termina, the same as his great whatever grandfather did, and that's the story that I would like. And then you could see, like, if you look at Ocarina of Time and then you look at Twilight Princess, you get to see how much bigger Hyrule is. Like, from the scale of the Nintendo 64 version to the Gamecube version, Hyrule is like 10 times bigger. So I always thought, imagine what Termina would look like at that scope. If you took Termina from Majora's Mask and made it on the scale of Hyrule from Twilight Princess. But you still had like Clocktown in the very center, and then you would go there, and in the same way that Wind Waker had stories of the ancient hero from Ocarina of Time, like they would all be like telling you about, you know, this past hero who saved the world, perhaps the same type of stories would now be told in Termina, because in Termina there were no real stories like that. But now, like, you could go there and people would be like, you look similar to the boy of legend, or like, my great grandfather told me a story about someone like you. And then it's Twilight Princess Link hearing stories about his great grandfather. So I thought that would be really cool. So that's what I would like the story to be about. But what about everybody else? How could you see Twilight Princess 2 going?
I don't really... Oh, sorry. Do you want to go first, Rick?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't really have any specific, like, how I would really want to see the game go, but I know that Twilight Princess, for sure, I'd really want to see a sequel to, just because it's one of the only Zelda games that I felt kind of sad at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, like, that's the main reason why I'd want to see that, because...
Wait, which game again?
Twilight Princess.
Okay.
We're talking about Twilight Princess.
Yeah, and... Okay. Yeah, that makes... At first I was like, but you kill Ganon at the end. And then I remembered Midna leaves, so yeah, it is a sad ending, sorry.
Shattering the mirror and...
So sad.
So sad. Okay, Rick, you go ahead.
I'm basically in the same boat with Jesse. I'd really like to see just a continuation of you know, Link's next adventure, maybe going through Termina or something, backtracking his great grandfather's footsteps and everything would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, and then you get to explore Termina as an adult instead of just a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but Rick, we can go with you. I feel like I accidentally called you Daniel a second ago. So if I did, I apologize.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Anyways,
mine's gonna be pretty obvious.
Oh, really quick. Someone mentioned in the chat about this. I want to, since we're talking about Twilight Princess, I want to bring it in since because I asked people to give their opinions. It says you were talking about this before, Jesse, how Cafe Anjou's descendants would be like, you look like the guy who saved my great-grandparents' wedding. So yeah, Daniel and I talked about that in a video a while back, to where you get to see, like, in Majora's Mask, you get to see them getting married, but then maybe you get to see their grandkids in the Twilight Princess sequel. So, like, you see, or like maybe their grandkid is like the bad guy, and then plot twist, you shouldn't have saved the wedding because now he's trying to take over Termina. Like, this purple-haired kid's trying to be evil. Anyways, continue, Rick. Sorry.
I'm a huge Hero of Time fan, and everything. So I'd have to say Majora's Mask. I'd really like to see a continuation of that. Nintendo would never do this, but I really wish they would take a darker spin on it and kind of show why the Hero of Time became the Cursed Swordsman in Twilight Princess. That would be awesome. Cool. Just to see his one last hurrah before he dies, and it would be a nice twist to actually see the hero that you've been playing as, fall to a tragic fate.
Did you watch the Zelda theory that was written by a Larulian historian that Hylia voiced? About the third Hero of Time quest or adventure. It was a really cool, and it's done really good for the channel as well. But it talks about that because on Ganondorf's armor in Twilight Princess there is, there's a whatever you want to call it, like art or like a sculpting of Ganondorf or like some sort of beast fighting against Link. But
I had never noticed that until that video too, by the way.
So same. I was voicing it and I was like, what? What?
So the crazy thing is, in that timeline, the Hero of Time, which would have been that Link, because like the cutscene happens before Twilight Princess, like shortly after Ocarina of Time. So it has to be that Link. So it's like it's talking about some crazy event that happened that no other game talks about. Twilight Princess doesn't even give backstory on it, and it's like a missing story. But then there's like artwork and hints throughout Twilight Princess that sort of like tells this unheard third Ocarina of Time, Hero of Time story, which everyone can go watch the video. Larulian did a really great job writing the script, and Hylia did a great job reading the script, and I feel like I did a good job editing the video. Daniel even recorded some of the video footage, so it's like a huge team effort. Plus it costed a lot of money because I had to pay everyone who worked on it, so I need to make back the money. Jesse talks too much. It's my podcast, Star. I'm supposed to talk.
Yeah, Jesse's the star of the show.
Yeah, seriously.
We're just here for him to bounce his ideas
he says,
off.
I can grow more facial hair than him. Jesse sells shirts.
More facial hair than me.
What? No, he says you can grow more facial hair than him.
And then he says, well, Jesse sells shirts of his face. I mean, there's been enough people to tell me how amazingly beautiful I am, so I might.
Oh, wow.
Yes. If it pleases you, there will be a... No, there's not going to be a picture of my shirt, no. Okay.
In case any of you guys ever follow the Vlog Brothers, I know that for Christmas they do Pizza John or John, or I don't remember, but John Green, just like at one point they sell a bunch of merch and it's literally just his face on everything with a really nasty mustache.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Amanda in the chat says I'm fun to listen to, so thank you. Then he asks, where's Daniel? Daniel is with his family. Something came up, and yeah.
He's having a family day.
Yeah.
So I'm replacing him. I know I'm no adequate replacement.
I guess technically Rick is Daniel's replacement. Last week, Hylia replaced Kayla. Yeah. Last week was kind of cool because it was Hylia's first time, so then, like...
I was in a hotel room.
Yeah, she's been on a bunch of videos, but she hadn't been on the podcast. And you had asked about the podcast, and I had asked you to be on the podcast, but it never happened before time differences.
I was always doing stuff with theater or whatnot, and I'd always be like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be up to like 2 a.m. rehearsing lines.
Yeah. Alright, Kayla. No, wait. We were on Rick's, right?
Rick. I don't know if he finished. I don't know if you interrupted him or not.
Alright,
I'm done.
I totally agree. I want to know how Hero Shade became Hero Shade.
So Rick finished.
How did his eye? What's the thing in his head?
And then that's why I started talking about the theory, because it was relevant. Okay, so there. I wasn't interrupting to like plug a video that Hylia and everyone worked on. It was actually relevant to the conversation. So, what is everyone's thoughts on Majora's Mask? See, everyone, whenever they talk about a Third Hero of Time game, they reference, I want Majora's Mask 2. I don't think it would have any mention of Majora's Mask in it in the same way Majora's Mask.
I just meant after Majora's Mask is what I meant.
But I'm saying, like, this is what, when people will type in the comments, like, I would love a sequel to Majora's Mask, which makes sense, or Majora's Mask 2, which doesn't make sense. And there is a rumor that I want to put to rest of Majora's Mask 2, I forgot what it was. It was like the Origins of Fierce Deity or something for the Gamecube. There's a lot of people who believe it's real. It was misinformation spread based off of artwork of a game case someone made. So you can type it in, Majora's Mask.
Like misinformation off of a fan art project.
Yeah, it was.
It's fan art.
It was similar to how everyone thought there was going to be like a Wind Waker prequel for Zelda Wii, Valley of the Flood or something like that.
Huh. I don't know. You just never see Nintendo go back and make these games about heroes that they've made legends on that don't have a game already.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of their place. They're a legend.
Yeah. But yeah, like Majora's Mask 2, I would love to see it. I don't really know or have an idea what it would be based on. Like Link going back to Hyrule, what does Hyrule look like after the 7 years? So like he ages into an adult naturally. What does that version of Hyrule look like in the child timeline? And then he could even go to like a third world. Like he starts in Hyrule, goes to Termina, then maybe somewhere else. So, what about you, Kayla?
About Majora's Mask?
Yeah. So, here's the thing. I'm going to make a quick call, but you guys talk about this, and then when it's done, Kayla, you can go into the Zelda game that you would like to see if I'm not back. But this should just take like 2 minutes. I don't even want to make the call. Alright.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cat.
Yeah, she keeps trying to get into my room. I was like, fine. This is Navi.
Aww. Majora's Mask. Yeah, I'd like to see a sequel to that. Like Jesse was saying, like I don't really know where they would go with it, but I feel like what you're mentioning with kind of figuring out more about Link and what happens after would be really interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Maybe them going after Ganondorf or something like that.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on it, Ilya?
I mean, I wonder, I mean, they wouldn't do this because they're pretty good about, like, not letting the fans kind of let their minds run wild with this, but I'm like, do he get with Milan?
That's, like, your only concern. It's like, who is Link's pairing?
You agree, Navi? She's at the point where she's like, okay, I'm done being pet. I want to be put down.
I can tell.
Growls.
She's like, she has her paws out. She's like, human release.
Well, she's not allowed in my room because... Oh, okay. Chill, child. She's not allowed in my room because she'll rip up my comforter. But she was pawing underneath the door like, pet me. But yeah, I would love to know anything about that. The closest they've ever gotten with that type of stuff is Skyward Sword, which is literally, I think, maybe one of 2 games that I would actually ship with Link and Zelda. Other than that.
Oh, a Link and Zelda ship. Last time I said that, Jesse and Daniel laughed at me because I was shipping them in Ocarina of Time, and he was like, Kayla, you're disgusting. What is wrong with you?
Well, Daniel would have hated me because until maybe like 2 months ago, I was a huge Ocarina of Time, Link and Zelda are siblings person. Until I asked a question for the podcast, actually. So I was like, okay, why doesn't he like it? I need to know. Also, the whole Zelda Link thing was actually my first question that was ever answered, and it was the title of the video. Started there. But I remember, I was like, I need to know, why does Daniel hate this theory so much? Because I think it's a really cool theory. And then I was like, oh, that makes
Wait, what was the theory?
Dang it! That Ocarina of Time, Link, and Zelda might be separated twins from birth because we don't know either of their mothers. And that was literally all I was going off of.
That was a theory? It's a disgusting theory.
Yeah, like when Daniel said some things that I was like, that makes sense. Yep, nope, yep. And actually one of my first videos is gonna be about how stupid that theory is. Because I was like...
So, there's an interview that I read a few months ago about... it was with Aonuma... No, sorry. It was with Miyamoto. Shortly before Ocarina of Time released. And he said that in his mind, the way, I guess the original story for the game, but the relationship between Navi, Link, and Zelda was that Link was mutual. So he looked at, because he was raised by a tree in the woods, so he doesn't process relationships like that. He just knows, oh, we're friends. That's it.
That's why he's mute.
Yeah. So
raised by a tree.
But Navi had a huge crush on Link. Zelda, and this was Miyamoto's intentions. It doesn't come across in the game because they changed some stuff, but this is his intentions. Navi has a huge crush on Link. Zelda has a huge crush on Link. Because of that, Zelda and Navi don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
So there's supposed to be like a friendly rivalry between the two because they're jealous of each other.
Triangle.
Navi is
that Link is unaware of.
Essentially, Navi is jealous, and this is from Miyamoto. I'll link the interview in the description when the video goes up.
I think I voiced some of this for one video.
Yeah, in the top 5 mysteries of Ocarina of Time, it referenced this.
Why Navi went away.
So when it's talking about, like, one of the mysteries is what happens to Navi. And then, like, one of the answers that I wrote was based off of this, was that Navi left because she realized she would never be able to be with Link, because she's, like, a fairy. She's, like, an inch tall. So, like, there's no real way that they could be in a relationship. And this was just, like, one of the 5 reasons that I listed as to what happened to Navi. But anyways, Zelda's jealous of Navi because Navi's always able to hang out with Link.
Yeah.
Where she's stuck in the castle and then she has to leave for the 7 years, so she spends all that time away from the person that she has a crush on, or like the only boy that she's liked. Because I guess the only other boy is the one that just like walks around the graveyard, like beating things with sticks.
There's many children.
Yeah, so he's like the only other boy that I can think of.
He's too young.
So, Zelda's jealous of Navi because Navi's always able to hang out with Link, and she spent all the time with Link. But Navi is jealous of Zelda because Zelda is an actual human girl, which means they could have a real relationship where Navi can't. So they're both jealous of each other, and they're supposed to, in the game, like, whenever they talk to each other, they're supposed to like make rude comments to each other, but all of that was taken out of the game. I imagine this was all part of all of the stuff that was taken out when it was changed from the Nintendo 64 disk drive version to the standard Nintendo 64 version, where it was supposed to have like extra dungeons, items, villages, stuff like that. Rick knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I imagine it was just stuff that was taken out to make the game. They're like, is it necessary to the game? No, so let's just take it out.
I bet they felt it was too similar to how Peter Pan and Wendy and Tinkerbell all interact and everything too. Because I mean, they drew inspiration from Link and all that stuff as well.
So that is one thing that separates me from a lot of the rude Zelda fans, where like if they like a theory, they will, or if they like something about the Zelda series, even if it's a theory that's easily proven wrong, they will defend it even like get things heated, like calling you names and being super rude, because they like it so much they don't want to admit that it's not true. With me, I know that the whole Link kind of being inspired by Peter Pan thing, especially with Ocarina of Time, is true.
Yeah.
I dislike it, but I know it's true. But there are some people, for example, who dislike it, so they'd be like, no, that's misinformation, that's not true, that's false, he didn't really say that, when he did. Like So, if you find Zelda fans out there that are like debating when something's obviously wrong, there's no sense in carrying on the debate. But yeah.
All right. I guess I will mention the game that I want a sequel for? ?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, this is hard because Twilight Princess was mine.
We all picked.
Majora's Mask was my backup.
I have a feeling.
Well, this is why.
Like everyone's pick,
this is why I'm going last, because I didn't want to pick
I hope
someone else's, and then, yeah. So I didn't want to pick someone else's, and then I also wanted time to change mine if someone picked mine first.
I guess, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I have been, if anyone has, I don't know, I've been on a really big, like, Breath of the Wild kick lately, so honestly, I would love to see a sequel to Breath of the Wild and just kind of see, like, really what happens to Hyrule after we finally get rid of Ganon, because you never really see that, like, the after in games. Oh. Sorry. Cameron just whispered spoilers to me, so anyone that hasn't beaten Breath of the Wild, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Any
game that has a bad guy, any Zelda game that has a bad guy in it, ends with the bad guy being defeated. So, spoilers.
Except in the Downfall timeline, that one.
But yeah, I'm defaulting to Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Story, plot.
I have no idea. All of my words were for Twilight Princess. That was the one that I wanted to see.
It's
the
the
most,
same.
So it's like,
it's the same as the sequel that everybody wants for Skyward Sword, where
however,
they want to see Hyrule be rebuilt, kind of.
One thing about like sequels, really, like I personally, as much as I think like sequels to like Twilight Princess or Majora's Mask could be cool, at the same time, I kind of like having that just kind of like empty space where you can just kind of imagine what happens, instead of something happening and it being canon, and
yeah,
you just have to live with it. So,
yeah. With Breath of the Wild, in terms of a sequel, everyone wants to see what happens like immediately after. I was hoping that would have been DLC, and if they did make a sequel, the sequel would be about either another land that has a lot of trouble going on, and they see like, oh, like this kid in Hyrule saved everyone from calamity again, and maybe he can help with us. So something like that, or
so something that maybe ties in like a different kind of bad guy.
Yeah, like because they're like around Termina. There's like Cohelant Island, Termina. I can't think of the others. Labrina, Holodrum, all of these other areas. So. Like, you know, bring up another land that's next to Hyrule, and they're like, oh, well, maybe he can help us solve our problem and beat our bad guy, whoever that bad guy is. Like in New Hyrule, we don't know what, like, we haven't visited New Hyrule outside of the adult timeline. So we don't know what that land was called before, I don't think. So it's like, we see it in the adult timeline when it's not, when it's not that land anymore. They end up calling it New Hyrule. So whatever the land was previously, see what it looks like in a new timeline. Like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker kind of happen around the same time. So Hyrule, it's the same Hyrule, but in one it's completely different than the other. So maybe New Hyrule, you can see it in the different timeline. Maybe it's completely different as well. But I would also like to see like 20 years after, and then like adult Link is now like 40 or almost 40. Zelda's almost, technically, I guess they're both almost 140. Yeah, but it's about their kid. Like, they have a young kid, and you play as Link's son.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's like at the end of Harry Potter, and then they bring out like old Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, it's like
children, and it's like
Ocarina.
It's so unnecessary.
Well, it's like the hero of a time to Twilight Princess Link.
Yeah.
Except instead of like his great whatever grandson, it's just his son. So, and then 20 years would be enough time for them to rebuild everything. Honestly, there's so many magic users there that I'm sure someone would be able to do it, or like they could just go to the Triforce and be like, hey, restore Hyrule, and then the next day it's finished. So, yeah. But does anyone else have any suggestions for Breath of the Wild 2?
I think, and this is half silly, want to know why that Goron was allowed into Gerudo Town.
Nice.
Give us a side
thinking
quest,
about
dang
it, like seeing a female Goron would kind of be odd, because like,
I've never seen one.
Yeah, like their chest, like it would just be weird seeing, because all the Gorons are naked. So seeing one with the chest is like
Goron,
that's
titties hanging out. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like an instant mature rating for.
I know. I mean, you've seen the Gorons in Twilight Princess. Imagine if
they could put like rocks around it, you know, to kind of hide
like
it
a
if
rock
they really
bikini.
Something.
I mean, I will say, like the Twilight Princess ones, they do wear like those tiny little underwear things. I'm not sure what they are.
Oh, the loincloth.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the name.
But yeah. You know what? You have a good point about Twilight Princess Gorons. You can't put an M rating. We've already seen the saggiest Goron boobs known to man, so...
Yes! There's a 64 things wrong with on Twilight Princess. I can't remember the dude's name. Oh, I'm so sorry. I watch this stuff all the time. And his entire series of Twilight Princess 64 things wrong with Twilight Princess, joking of course, is Goron titty. My friend who loved Twilight Princess without end, I showed it to her. She was in tears, crying.
Oh man, it's funny because I said that, and then I looked over, and my boyfriend was googling an image to see what it looked like. And, oh man,
it's so. Also, I love the Gorons in Breath of the Wild. Whenever they have big facial expressions, their eyes get like all blue. And then
yeah.
I love them. I don't know. That's my. I was being kind of silly. I didn't have many from Breath of the Wild too.
All right, Rick. What is your Breath of the Wild sequel?
You guys have basically already covered it. I'd really like to see like Hyrule rebuilt. I mean, basically what everybody else is. Wanting
so in
out
that
of
sense,
it.
like a prequel or the sequel with it built.
Yeah, the sequel with it built, but with the different enemy. I'm tired of Ganon and Ganondorf. I mean, if they brought Ganondorf actually back as his human form, it would be sick. But Ganon's just so overused. I get it. I mean, it's a series, but
I have a really weird idea. This wouldn't be a sequel. It would be like I guess it would be a prequel. What if during his 100-year slumber he went to Koholint? Or Koholint? Created by the Windfish? I don't know why. I just thought that. I was like, what if he spent 100 years fighting?
Hanging out with the Windfish.
Yeah, well, that's like Twilight Princess. He spends hundreds of years or however long in the Twilight Realm. So, yeah.
It would just.
And then the Dark World, where he usually gets imprisoned at, is just a corrupted version of the Sacred Realm, which is where the Chamber of Sages and all of the sages hang out. So, yeah.
Alright. I want to know Jesse's game that he wants a sequel for.
Now that we've stolen
I would
all
get
the good
Wind
ones.
Waker 3. Or technically Wind Waker 2. It would be, I guess now, unless they retconned it, it would have to be a direct sequel for Phantom Hourglass. But they were working on we have a video covering this as well. I think this is the first video that Ilya, me, Tony from Hard for Games, and Connor worked on. This was Daniel and I had a contest for the fans of the Discord, or fans of the YouTube channel that were in the Discord. We had a contest where people could submit their voices for a potential voiceover. There were 2 winners. It was Ilya and Connor, and they were chosen to be on this video, which is done fairly well. It has, I think, around 40 or 50, maybe 60,000 views. I don't know. It doesn't have too many, but it's enough to be successful. And in it, we talk about a bunch of the canceled stuff from Wind Waker, and we briefly mention the original Wind Waker sequel, which was in development, and then they canceled it to work on Twilight Princess, where they technically just converted everything over to a more realistic art style and then reused it in Twilight Princess. But it was supposed to have a young Link aging into adult Link. So, and it would have taken place off of the water. It would have been a more Twilight Princess-esque version of Hyrule, like about the same size as Twilight Princess's Hyrule, but there would have been a lot of water areas as well. I guess kind of like Breath of the Wild, where there's several large bodies of water. So it would have been something like that, and then there was the only ever appearance of Toon Epona would have been there, which would have been really cool, because we've seen realistic Epona Twilight Princess, we've seen anime Epona in Breath of the Wild, we've seen 2D Epona in Minish Cap, and we've seen like manga Epona in, because it looks like a manga, an Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask. But there would have been like Toon Epona, and her features like Link's and all the other characters would have been a bit exaggerated. Like Link had a huge head, so it would have been interesting to see how Toon Epona looked, like cel shaded and everything. And then like the adventures of Wind Waker Link as an adult would have been really, really cool, and seeing him age naturally, similar to and I may be getting this confused with like the original concept for the first Wind Waker, but like Toon Epona and everything was from Wind Waker 2, but the aging thing, I don't know if that was for the sequel or the original, but it would have been cool to see, instead of like an Ocarina of Time, Link just jumping to being an adult, to seeing him age naturally. Like maybe you complete one part of the story and then like it skips forward a year or two and then it keeps skipping forward. That would have been a really cool aspect, especially if like it had some way to like you go to your bed and you would fall asleep and then you could go back and replay some of the areas, because in Ocarina of Time we've seen what Hyrule looks like in the past, and then it looks completely different 7 years later. Like Lake Hylia is completely dried up. Zora's Domain, the source of all the water in Hyrule, is frozen. All the Gorons are imprisoned from Death Mountain. The volcano is actually active. Hyrule Castle's completely destroyed. So there's all of this stuff. Like Hyrule's completely changed. Everything about Hyrule is like literally the opposite. So in Wind Waker, it would have been cool to see like the progression of some of these changes. So yeah, that's basically what I would want, and the story that I would want with it. And it's based off of a potential game that would have happened if people in America, Canada, Mexico, Ireland, England, all of the UK wouldn't have told Nintendo that they didn't like the Toon Link art style. So because that's what they were making, and everyone complained saying, hey, we hate this cel-shaded Zelda game, we don't like it. So Nintendo of Japan was like, okay, well, we will make the exact opposite. And then we got Twilight Princess. So yeah, but what do you guys think about that? Like Wind Waker 2, which Phantom Hourglass, but I guess this would have been Phantom Hourglass 2.
So like in between Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass.
No. It would have been because Phantom Hourglass is almost immediately after. It would be between Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, which would have also been.
He's a child in Phantom.
Yeah. So it would have also been interesting because by this you're going from the first game on a home console, the second game on a handheld, and then the third game was on a handheld as well, but then the prequel to it would be on a home console. So it's like it swaps between all of them, which would be interesting.
I would love to see a Toon cel-shaded Epona, personally.
Yes. Oh. Another thing. Twilight Princess introduced like the cats that you could pick up.
Yeah.
And then Ocarina of Time already had like the dogs that you could go and find. So to see like Toon dogs and cats and everything, which we got like Toon pigs and stuff in Wind Waker, but to like see like the Toon versions of all of the different animals with their exaggerated features, trying to make them look even cuter, that would have been cool as well.
Yet you couldn't pet dogs in Breath of the Wild.
I know.
I'm just like, when I first played it, I was just like,
yeah, like,
they went back in time with that.
Twilight Princess, you could literally pick up the animals, but
now all I can do is feed them.
Yeah. Could you do anything in Skyward Sword? Like you could pick up the little demon cat Jinx.
You could kill them at night or knock them off the edge, or no, I don't know what.
No, you could pick them up because you could like throw them.
Yeah, when he's.
Oh yeah.
I'd throw him off, or try to throw him off the edge, but I think he would fly back up. I don't know. Anyways, Illy, what were you saying? Aside from Toon Epona?
Toon? Well, this may have been in other games.
You could also, since Link is aging, all of the other NPCs would age as well, which means Toon Epona would age as well. So you would see like young Toon Epona and then adult Toon Epona. I think adult Tetra could be cute.
She could be freaking badass. She already is.
Yeah. Oh, and there's concept art. I forget which book, but Nintendo released concept art of adult Toon Link as well. That they drew.
I think it's in Hyrule Historia.
Oh.
It's either
Look at Rick finding it.
I was gonna say like, wow.
I was about to go get mine too, which is
doing
both
his
up
research.
there.
No, while he's looking at that,
Encyclopedia pre-ordered.
I want to say this is the best design for a 3DS. I wanted it for so long, but it was like $300-$400. But
I really
now,
liked the Animal Crossing one.
Yeah.
That one was cute.
So a potential news story that I left off because we already had too much news. There's another Zelda book called How to Be a Champion, which is a Breath of the Wild concept art book.
I want it.
And in like the cover of it has all of the champions like in a fighting pose, not the one that we're used to seeing. They're like lined up kind of like the Avengers. But the book is, I thought it was really cool. It's called How to Be a Champion, or How to Be Champions, or something like that, which is really cool because Breath of the Wild is Link learning how to be a champion. So from the previous champions or whatever. So
they don't have that specific piece of concept art that you were talking about, but I mean they have it at like a rough idea. Well, my freaking camera.
It's too bright.
Yeah, it's way too bright. This might help. But Link is an adult right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have one. I can't remember if it's in the book or not. But it like shows him growing up and everything.
Nice. All right. So number 5 was, what was yours, Celia?
Mine was Twilight Princess.
All right. And then number 4, Rick.
Mine was basically Ocarina of Time 3.
Number
Fast 2.
3, Kayla.
Breath of the Wild.
and number 2 was Wind Waker. So we all have to decide on the last game to get a sequel. Does anyone want to start? Like what other games they can decide? We've all picked 3D games, so let's go with the 2D game, just to make it fair.
Link's Awakening. I don't know. I just threw that one out
Link's
there.
Awakening.
That's like the 2D one I know. 2D one I know. No, I have Zelda 1 and A Link to the Past. But yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't have any specific ones that I'd be like, oh my gosh, totally this.
All right. What about you, Rick?
There's not a lot of good ones to pick from anymore. I guess Zelda 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I would say Minish Cap, but Minish Cap technically is followed up by Four Swords,
like
Four Swords Adventures.
Yeah.
If you look at either of the timelines.
Someone said Zelda Crow sequel. I don't know what that is.
Oh, CDI. They corrected themselves.
Okay,
CDI. Or someone else corrected them.
I think there's already a Zelda CDI. There's 3 games, so there's 2 sequels there. So
Gamelon, all that.
Yeah.
Ew.
So you have your dream sequels there, buddy. I would say Zelda 2 as well.
I was actually gonna say Zelda 2 as well.
I say it because Link's Awakening would be cool, but like you're giving way too much. Well, you're giving way too much to like that version of Link, because he goes from A Link to the Past, both of the Oracle games, and then Link's Awakening. That's already more than any others. And then he makes, debatably, an appearance in A Link Between Worlds, because there's the old man who wears the green tunic, and he there's a character in it that mentions that he used to go on adventure, or like there's legends of him going on adventures or something, and then you fight different versions of Dark Link, and then once you beat all of the different versions of Dark Link, you fight against the old man, and the old man has all of the same items as you, which are also mostly items that were in A Link to the Past. So it's heavily believed that the old man is Link from A Link to the Past. So there's like a bunch of games that Link's already in, and I don't want to give him like way too many games. So yeah, and then like I guess the other Link would be Ocarina of Time Link, because he's in Majora's Mask, a skeleton in Twilight Princess, he's a statue in The Wind Waker, which is also really cool. We get to see potentially what adult Toon Link would look like in Wind Waker, because there's a statue but it's not colored. So yeah, but yeah, I would go Zelda 2.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because
those were like the very first Zelda games, but they take place at the very end of the timeline.
Yeah.
I guess Breath of the Wild technically is at the end, but still, like, those would be really interesting to follow up, especially if they just called it Zelda 3, which A Link to the Past was originally called Zelda 3, and then it was completely different. Rick, Holly, and I have a video about canceled Zelda games, top 5 canceled Zelda games. Thank you guys for watching it. It has a little bit over like 500,000 views, but in it there's a huge interview with Miyamoto and the director or the creator of the what is it, Dragon Quest series, I think, and they're both talking about their games. Miyamoto's talking about Zelda 3, which ended up becoming A Link to the Past, and the game that he describes is very different. Like, he says it has like 3-player multiplayer, where like one can play as an elf boy, which Link, one can play as a fairy, which would be a character that could do like reconnaissance, and like scout out the area, and then I forgot what the other one was. And the fairy design was later used for some other game. I forgot what it was, but he said that he had, when he made Zelda 1, he had the idea and concepts of like 3 different Zelda games. And then even when he was making Zelda 2, there were stuff that he was like, no, that would be good for the next Zelda game. So he would save it. But then he ended up making Zelda 3, and then they delayed it, changed a bunch of stuff, and we got A Link to the Past, which was a single-player game, not a multiplayer game, which A Link to the Past, but 3 players would have been really, really cool. So, yeah, it's interesting. Because that's another game that actually could have happened, but didn't. But yeah, where it takes place at the very end of the timeline, but it was one of the first games made, it would be cool to see what happens afterwards. So, that is the end of our topic of discussion. So, thanks everyone for watching. Go check out our shirts or whatever. It helps get Daniel, Kayla, and I money for the podcast. And I guess we can start the Zelda mailbag. Do you guys still have time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to go eat, to be honest with you. I'm starving. I got off work and came right here, so yeah. I'm done for the night, guys.
All right.
That's okay. Thank you for joining us, Rick.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right. See ya. All right. Now we'll do 1 question each. I guess that works. Yeah. We'll do a shorter mailbag. All right.
I feel like we've had a surprising amount to talk about just because, like, we did a little bit more for priority news. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Everyone that's watching, put your questions in, and then I'll take the last question. So, if there's already a question in the chat, then you guys can take it, or there's the list on the document that you guys can go through and choose from. You can find your questions while I do the intro, and then I guess we'll start with you, Kayla.
Okay.
All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me, here with us for the Zelda mailbag on the Hylian's Gamescast. I believe episode 33 is Kayla, our co-host, and our returning guest from last week, Ilya Rose, who you all may know from some of our list videos or Zelda theories. So this is the Zelda mailbag, where you can submit your Zelda questions to be featured on the show, to be answered by all of us, to have them discussed. But sometimes we get so many questions that we can't feature them all on the mailbag. Like this time it's going to be a very short mailbag. So if you want to have your question guaranteed to be answered on the show before any of the others, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can make that happen. Plus a lot of other rewards, like being a guest on a Zelda theory, or having me or someone possibly featured on your own YouTube channel, or submitting topics to discuss, like I forgot what we just did. We spent like an hour doing it. The top 5 Zelda games that deserve sequels. You can submit your own topic to discuss. I'm almost basically brain dead over here. Alright, so we're beginning our Zelda mailbag with Kayla. So, what is our very first question to start the show?
Alright, so our question comes from Skip, ? I guess that's the name? Anyways, their question is, in your opinion, which is the hardest Zelda game, which is the easiest, and which strikes the best balance in the two?
Oh, gosh.
Alright.
So, for me, I'm going to start this one off by saying that I think that Ocarina of Time is the easiest. I don't know why. I think it's because I've probably played it the most. If I were to be like an outsider coming in to play Ocarina of Time, I'd be really confused because I feel like there's not a lot of guidance in that game. But for me, it's the easiest. And I want to say that the hardest, and I don't think it's necessarily a hard game, but more sometimes it's a little bit frustrating, would be Majora's Mask. That game, like, I love it to death, but sometimes I just get really frustrated, and I have to be honest, like, when I play video games, like, I'm not a very angry person, but I want to say that Banjo-Kazooie and Zelda are probably my most rage-inducing games for whatever reason. It's just like stupid stuff, like continually falling off for no apparent reason.
Yes.
And And I want to say that the one that strikes the best balance between the two would probably be... I want to say Breath of the Wild, just because there's so much you can do in that game. And I feel like it's a little bit more open for different kind of, like, more casual to more hardcore gamers, especially with Master Mode. So I feel like that's the kind of game that if I were to try and get someone younger to try and play it, they would probably pick it up pretty easily, because it's not like there's a lot of different controls that you need to worry about. And it, if anything, like, the puzzles might be a little bit hard, especially some of the shrines. I know, especially, like, I get really irritated doing shrines, but yeah, I think that's mine.
All right. Do you want to go, Ilya, or do you still want to think about yours?
Yeah, I'm trying to vary up my answer because I pretty much had the same exact thing, but I have some other thoughts too.
All right.
As far as easiest, I probably have to agree Ocarina of Time. I was debating Link's Awakening, but then again, I've tried to defeat this one boss 6 times, and I'm happy. So, probably Ocarina of Time. I think it's really easy to follow. It's pretty linear. Yeah, probably the easiest. Hardest, it really... Because, like, Zelda 1 is extremely difficult because you have no idea what the heck is going on. You're just put in the middle of nowhere. I swear I have gone back to that game several times. I'm this close to just looking up a Let's Play or something because I cannot find the first dungeon. Maybe just because I keep dying. I don't know.
The first?
Yeah, first. A dungeon. I can't find a dungeon. That, I guess I should clarify, yeah. Skyward Sword, honestly, is actually pretty difficult for me because of the mechanics, though. And that's because I'm left-handed. And it's right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, not only is it difficult mechanics, left-handed. So I'm trying to think. I think I was going to say Majora's Mask, but I think I'll stick with Zelda 1 as being the most difficult for me personally, because I have gotten nowhere with it.
I thought of Link's crossbow training as the easiest, but that doesn't count. So
no, that's cheating.
No, yeah, Majora's Mask would be right up there, just because even as a kid watching my brothers, I remember thinking, how are you guys getting through this game? Because I don't understand what's going on. As an adult now, I understand it more, but it's very frustrating. Like, if you're trying to defeat a boss and you get right to the end of that third day and you're like, oh, I need to do this whole bunch again. I love the game, and I would agree Breath of the Wild strikes a good middle ground because of how free it is. And I feel like there's a really good mix of different types of gameplay. You have combat, but you also have puzzles like shrines, and I am a huge puzzle fan. I don't like playing actual puzzles, but puzzle mind games.
Mm-hmm.
And so the shrines are like my favorite thing. Now, when there's a test of strength, I'm like, I mean, obviously if it's minor tests of strength, I'm just like, okay, bye. But major tests of strength, I'm like, how many weapons do I have? Am I willing to lose them all right now?
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that if you die in the middle of it, you get all your weapons. But still, yeah, I think that would be my middle ground, is both.
Alright, my turn?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, so the easiest, I would say, is A Link Between Worlds.
That's pretty easy.
Because I feel on 3DS, Nintendo may have designed it to be easier for younger players. And then,
yeah, I actually didn't think about the 3DS games because I found that those ones were much easier than a lot of the console ones.
I was going to say
true.
Triforce Heroes, but I feel that's kind of a cop-out.
What is
Yeah.
Triforce
Because
Heroes?
It depends. Well, like, Triforce Heroes, you could be really good, but it just depends on how well the other people are playing. If you're playing it by yourself, it's probably one of the hardest, because I think you have to, like, control the other people.
Yeah, it's really more based on, like, kind of a team play.
Yeah, so I would say for traditional Zelda games, A Link Between Worlds being the easiest. For the hardest, I would say... So, people in chat were saying Zelda 2. A lot of people do look at Zelda 2 as being really, really hard. But, at the... Two things I want to say. At the time, it was just standard difficulty. Like, early Nintendo games are notorious for being super difficult, like giving you 1 life and then you have to go through the entire game without being hit once. Even if you look at the old Donkey Kong Country games, like you basically get 2 lives. If Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong are dead, then you're out. So yeah. What is the other? So Zelda 2, you can make it easy by leveling up. As long as you're like a really high level, you could go to the hardest parts of the game and still have like an easy challenge. It won't be as difficult, which is like typical RPG. Like if you go somewhere playing Final Fantasy or any RPG, then you're going to have a hard time if you are like a low level. So if you level up, you can go back, and then before where you had a very difficult time, this time it's really easy. You can kill everything with 1 hit. That's how RPGs work. So I would go with Zelda 1 as the hardest Zelda game. Because, as you mentioned earlier, like it just drops you in, you have no idea where to go. And then sometimes, like, you'll go into a dungeon, without spoilers for Hylia, and there'll be, like, tons and tons and tons of new enemies. That are just like surrounding the room, and just like most Zelda games, you have to clear out all of the enemies before you can go on to the next one. And in the original, they had walls that you could bomb, but there was no way, like in Ocarina of Time, when you bomb a wall, there's like a marking on the wall to tell you, hey, this wall's cracked, you can bomb through it. The original, there's no cracks. It looks the same as anything else. So how are you?
Everything.
Yeah. So a lot of people used to like make their own maps and then mark the squares where there were bombable walls. Like you can go through and hit the wall and it'll like make a higher pitched sound with the sword. But like no one's gonna go through the entire game hitting every single space.
Hidden walls. Yeah.
So which reminds me a lot in Fortnite, like at the bridge next to the car, or like the tunnel, I mean. There's the wall that you can go through. It always reminds me of Zelda, because it's like you tear down the secret wall and there's chests behind it. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, but the average game, I would say, is Wind Waker. So, because I would like I feel the cartoon design, their intentions were to make it slightly easier for kids, because kids would be more attracted to the cartoon style. It doesn't have quite as many dungeons. I think it has like 5 or 6 dungeons. So
yeah, it's not many.
More than Majora's Mask, which had 4, 5 if you count Icona Castle. And then the Moon had like a bunch of mini dungeons. But Ocarina of Time had like 10 or 12, and then Twilight Princess had like even more. So with Wind Waker, it's boring when you're sailing from one place to another, but that doesn't make it any more difficult. And the difficulty of the dungeons, I feel, are slightly the same as Ocarina of Time, but you're able to do a bit more inside them because you have the extra processing power. Like you have one dungeon where you have to use the boat to navigate. So, and then, yeah, like there's no confusion of if I do this in the past, it'll make this happen in the future. Like in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, where like you have to keep going back and forth to solve side quests. So Wind Waker, I would say, is like the perfect game that's like set in the middle for difficulty. Moving to our final question, I guess.
No, second.
No, second. Oh, that was a long question. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a long question.
Yeah, because like we had to list 3 each.
Question.
So.
Yeah. I know. No, I really liked that one when I was scrolling through them.
Okay, so Hylia, what is your question?
Well, were any of them Patreon people?
No.
I didn't see any, no.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I'm not familiar with.
So I want to say it's really cool that like 40 to 50 people have been watching the entire time.
I think based on the time that we're doing it, especially for different time zones, like maybe some people are watching or like listening to this when they're like maybe getting ready for sleep or something, right?
Yeah. Let us know what you're doing.
That's what I would do at school. I would like read something or be studying, and I'd have this playing.
Yeah.
What, this podcast?
Yeah.
Oh.
It always. And I
wasn't there at that time, but
I would be at work, which I worked in a lab, like a computer lab, so I just sat there and I would just have my headphone like this so I could hear people.
Yeah.
If they needed the printer cartridge changed or something. And it would start during like towards the end of my Sunday work shift when it was on Sundays. And then I would get back home, get up to date, and I would just kind of be doing things, getting ready until I heard mailbag, and I'd be like, okay, are they going to answer my question? And almost always my question was answered. And I was like,
nice. Yeah. We go through and like we'll skip if there's like bad questions. So your questions were always good. Like, and then there'll be some times where like Daniel will be like, this is just a stupid question.
There'll be some things that are like statements, and I'm like, why did you?
Unfortunately,
like,
for this mailbag, some of them are really directed to Daniel, and he's not here today.
About burgers.
Yep.
I'm nice. Like, a vegetarian.
Right. So everyone in the chat, after Ilya, I'm going to do the very last question. So if you want your question answered, put it in the live chat, or head over to Discord, and then you can tag me. But you can also tag me in the chat. I want to say like Ashley in the chat right now. She was one of the first people that told me that they listened to my podcast at work, which is always what makes me happy because I listen to YouTube videos and podcasts like 24/7. That way I'm not stuck with my own crazy thoughts. I can just focus on whatever they're talking about. So whenever other people tell me that they listen to my podcast the same way, then it makes me excited because I'm like, that's what I do with podcasts. So like you and Ashley and the other people in the chat, it's really cool. I think Kayla's the only one that didn't listen to the podcast before she was invited on. Alright, so do you got your question?
I do. Okay. It's pretty simple, but it intrigued me right when we started the podcast. It says in parentheses, plumber, all caps, table,
Fleo, yeah. Do you know the emoji or like the text that looked like someone flipping a table?
Oh.
Yeah. So
yeah, gotcha.
They used to do that all the time in the chat, so he changed his name to like Table Fleo.
Yeah, when I first joined the Discord, you guys have this weird table flipping issue.
Yeah. Not me. I think I've only used it like one time in my entire life.
It was towards when I joined, I saw all that too.
Yeah. So his name's a reference to a past time.
Got it. Well, table flipping dude asks, which Epona is your favorite and why? And I say Twilight Princess because you can talk to her and she's like, go back to your normal form, please.
Yes.
Yeah. He's in the chat right now. A plumber to the past.
Oh, that is him.
Yeah, that's him.
So he's getting his question answered live.
I know that feeling. It's a good feeling.
I would say, is it really?
It is.
I thought people would just be like, oh, cool, my question got answered, and that's it.
Well, I remember because I only knew my question was answered because I wasn't able to watch the podcast because it was the title of the video when y'all separated it, and I was like, what? And I watched and I just kept skipping until I got to that part, and I was like, oh, that's my name, except it's not my name, but name. What? And all my friends are like, because they have no idea what Zelda is. Yay. And I'm like, you don't understand. I thought it was really cool.
Nice.
But
yeah, Gibbs did the table flip thing in the chat. Now everybody's doing it.
Oh my god.
No,
I love the little ones with the parentheses because it just looks like some squat man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so everyone's favorite Epona.
Mine was Twilight Princess.
Alright.
Jesse, you go first. I'm still thinking.
I was gonna say, so mechanically speaking, Breath of the Wild Epona lets you, like, you can just go on a trail and then like look around, so you can look at the surroundings and stuff. you don't have to worry about it running into a tree, which when he said that, I was like, well, Ocarina of Time, there really weren't any trees. And then it's like, you're stuck in a giant circle with Epona. Like, you couldn't do any, like, you're not taking her to Kakariko Village or anything.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask was basically the same. And then Twilight Princess, she was a lot more useful in Twilight Princess. There was actually side quests where you used her, which I guess there was in Majora's Mask as well. But it's like in Majora's Mask, the quest was like get from point A to point B, but point B was like 10 feet away. From like Romani Ranch to what is it? I forgot. No, Castle. No. Clocktown. Yes, that's it. Sorry. Clocktown. So Romani Ranch to Clocktown is like a lot shorter than which I don't even remember if you have to guide it to Clocktown. I remember there was the side quest or whatever, but I don't remember. Anyways, Twilight Princess had the quest that used Epona, and then the boss battle made use of Epona. So that was really cool, but I'm going with non-existent Toon Epona.
I actually debated that.
Yeah.
I did.
Wow, you guys. Yeah, no, Twilight Princess Epona would be my favorite, especially because I had so much fun naming her. So much fun.
What did you name?
I know, I
bad
can't
words?
give any examples, yeah.
Will Nintendo email us and be like, you said a bad word in the podcast?
Yeah, no, Nintendo would straight up be like, Kayla, unacceptable, I can't believe you did that to Epona.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
It's just so funny because, like, the way that people talk in the game, like, it just prompts it so well. It's like, if you've seen people when you name Link, like, dude or bro or whatever, like, it makes everyone in the game seem really chilled out.
We need your help, dude. Dude is our only hope.
Nice. Alright. I guess our final question comes from... So it was Twilight Princess Epona from everybody? And then... Alright.
Your imaginary Epona?
Yeah. Because I just want to see what Toon Link...
Cool.
Or Toon Epona looks like. And then to see her age from, like, Majora's Mask Epona to full adult Epona would have been cool. So I'm looking through. No one tagged me for a question. So I guess I'm going to have to go to the...
They're all too busy flipping tables.
Good job, guys. Done let us down.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Alright. I'm going to count to 10. Someone post a question, or I'm going to the mailbag. 10, 9, 8, 7. I'm giving them time to catch up to post after I said that. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, uno. Alright.
All I got was a table flip. And another table flip.
Alright, the question's in the chat.
The question, why?
Which Epona is your favorite? You know, they've been discussed in Gamescast and all the Zelda games. Which Link is the most powerful? We already did that one. I would love to hear your opinion. Hope you guys... that's more one for Daniel, because he's the theorist. Yep. Love listening to those before I go to bed. Oh yeah, I was going to do shout-outs to the nice comments we got. Amanda EK said, love listening to these before I go to bed. Awesome food for thought and discussion. Smiley. So that's another thing. If you guys want to get a shout-out from leaving nice comments or like little mini reviews, leave them in the Hylian Gamescast Discord thing and tag one of us. And we will read them out at the beginning of the show, which was something I was meant to do. I had some gathered up, but I forgot. I love your videos. Just join the Discord. Where do you guys do the podcast, Chris? I would like to be...
Oh, that one's from Mike.
Yeah, watch your videos every day. Yeah, so there was the one from Mike and the one from Amanda that left nice comments. If you can stream your Switch to your PC, you can already do VR on Switch. Do you have the Sun to be your name? family. Yes, I really want to see you Comparison review burgers. It's false advertising. Going to drag you into our Planet Hyrule debate on Thread, which is entire. And God, there are really no good questions left. So I will make up my own question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so what are your guys' favorite and worst Zelda theories? I don't think, because those are like the most popular mailbag videos we've had. So I want to ask you guys, since I don't think you were on the channel. So who wants to go first?
I'm sorry, you'll have to ask that again. I was talking to Gibbs about hats in the chat.
Okay. Favorite and worst Zelda theories. Or favorite and least favorite. Because those were the most popular mailbag things that we had. So obviously people like to hear us talk about it. So we're ending it with, what is your favorite, least favorite Zelda theories?
People are already writing, Link is dead.
Yeah. Alright, so
Worst.
who wants to go first?
I feel like all my favorites
See, we have
are like not theories, but they're confirmed.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt
You
you,
know?
but there are 44 people in the chat. While I was counting down from 10, nobody wanted their question to be answered, but now everybody's replying to the Zelda theory thing. Yeah, but like everyone's replying with the Link is dead thing. So it's like there's people being active, but nobody wanted their question answered. It's weird.
Oh.
So,
Wayne Z says girls with glasses rock. Therefore, Kayla and I rock.
I want to be a
Heck yeah.
girl with glasses.
Get on our level, Jesse.
Yeah, sorry. Alright,
Geeks all the way.
any of you want to go first?
Okay. So, because we were actually talking about this in the podcast earlier, my least favorite would be that Link and Zelda are, like, separated twins.
From birth and Ocarina of Time. I was a hardcore fan of it for a long time.
I didn't even know that
I
was
renounced
a
it.
theory.
I didn't know it was either. Like, there was someone that said something about Ganondorf being or Link's father in Ocarina of Time, and I was like...
That's a weird one.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like...
that was part of my
I
question that I
didn't
asked in one of those podcasts.
Oh, was
I
that
like,
the same one?
Theory's worse.
Yeah, I remembered it, and I was like, is that a theory?
And Daniel was like, why
People? Yeah.
I think my favorite theory, just because it's just really, like, out there and crazy, would be, oh, people think that... What are you laughing about?
I just remembered, I checked earlier, there was, like, some people watching on Twitch, because we dual stream.
Yeah.
And, like, last night, playing Fortnite, there was, like, 5-6 people in the chat. It got up to, like, 8 people. So, like,
Yeah.
for the Gamescast, there's probably even more people, and we just ignored them the entire time.
I actually didn't really notice because you mentioned that, like, someone was there and they're like, am I the only one watching? And you're like, oh, we answer stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, like, I posted
anyways.
a link, but... Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be... I can't remember where I heard this from, but someone was saying that, is it Agatha?
Bug Lady?
That she is Zelda's schizophrenic sister.
Oh, yeah.
That is such a cool theory.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like
I
that.
really like that one. I think it's really fun because she's just such an out there character and she's just so weird. You don't really expect her when you wander into her and you're like...
I thought about doing my own research, like, playing through the game to, like, get all the information and stuff.
Yeah.
To do our own version of that theory. So, yeah. That'd be after E3, though. Like, the videos I have planned, I don't have too long, because I want to do them all before E3. But yeah, I like that, because it suggests, like, how does she get all this money? Why does she live so close to the castle? And all this
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
And then it makes perfect sense if she's just, like, Zelda's sister. So. But you said you liked it as well, Ilya?
I do love that theory, and I'm trying to think, would certain ships count as theories?
Yeah, because, like,
Who are you
And I
shipping
have a
and
lot.
why?
Malin and Link are, like, that's the most believable
Yeah.
ship in Ocarina of Time, because it's either her, a fish, or a princess. And,
Yeah. Based on the very small town of Hyrule.
Yeah.
I'd say because I also really like a lot of I like the thought that goes into the Tetraforce theory.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know it's kind of been disproven by Nintendo. Like they're like, no.
Did you play Breath of the Wild?
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't defeated Ganondorf. I'm working on side quests right now, but I've done all the.
One of the side quests takes you to the Forgotten Temple.
Yeah.
And there's the Tetraforce hints in the Forgotten Temple.
There's so much cool information behind it, so I'd say it's probably either that one or the one that he married Milan.
Yeah.
And because it makes sense. I mean, I would say probably the Tetraforce theory more, so just because of how much information goes into this, and I just think it's really, really cool, especially with like Lorule and everything. Least favorites? There are so many ships I cannot stand. Just because to me they make absolutely no sense.
Lincoln Goose.
Oh god, I didn't even know that was one.
That's a ship because I ship it.
No.
Please.
Let me just go through the list of ones I don't like. Link and Zelda Twilight Princess, Link and Zelda, Link and Midna, Link and Sidon, Link and Mipha. I'm like...
Link and Sidon?
I'm just like, he's a fish! Not even going into other things, he's a fish! Mipha is a fish!
Timothy agrees. Link and Sidon. Thank you. My man.
Oh. The only time I ship Link and Zelda, Skyward Sword. So a lot of the ships I cannot stand, and they clutter up my Pinterest. Because I'll pin Sidon things, because I think Sidon is awesome. And then I get all of those, and I'm like... No! I'd rather see the Midna ones again! Yeah. I'm just weird like that. So that's... Favorite is Tetraforce, least favorite is, like, the ships. But then again, I've been guilty of them too, so... Kinda hypocritical.
What about you, Jesse?
Did you give best and worst?
Yeah.
Okay, so for right now, I haven't really done a full video on it. I want to, but there's a theory that I came up with on the spot when Daniel and I were talking about, like we did something similar to where I asked, can we do our own questions? Where he asked a question, I asked a question, and mine ended up being something that got off topic, and it was a theory about the spiritual stone, the forest, I forgot the name of it, the Kokiri Emerald, being held inside the forest temple, and it usually, like, because it looks like a home, sort of, yeah, and like the Kokiri or the Koroks would have lived there before Kokiri Forest, and then, or someone would have lived there, and then you have the bottom of it, which is actually like a dungeon instead of like a house, and there's a bunch of mazes inside of the forest temple and stuff, and it's like all of this is built to protect the Kokiri Emerald, is the theory that I came up with, because no one can go into the forest or the Lost Woods without turning into the Stalfos. So it's like you have different layers of protection. You have the forest, which no one can get past, but if they do manage to get past it, then you also have this giant fortress, basically. And then Ganondorf, seen, like he wasn't able to get the Kokiri Emerald from the Deku Tree, because he wasn't able to go through the forest. He wasn't able to go through the forest temple to get the Kokiri Emerald, so he poisoned the tree. But then once he had the Triforce of Power, he, as like, you didn't give me the thing, so as like a big F you, not only am I going to curse the Kokiri Forest to have like Deku Babas and evil Deku Scrubs and everything attacking, but I'm also going to put a version of myself inside the place that I wasn't able to get to before. So that's why Phantom Ganon and not some random creature or beast is the boss of the Forest Temple, because he wasn't able to get in there. So once he had power to get in there, he was just like, here's like a evil phantom ghost version of myself. So that's a theory that I want to make into a video, but I haven't yet. But I want to.
You better do that soon. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal it.
And worst is just Link is dead, obviously.
Yeah.
Like,
Link is
I've said it a billion times, but when Nintendo themselves, like, not just one of them, but like Aonuma and Miyamoto, both come out and literally say you're playing the game wrong, if you believe the theory, then like not only are they saying no, it's not true, which they have said, but they're like literally saying if you believe this, you are playing it wrong, which is kind of funny.
They're just calling everyone out for being dumb.
And then they went on saying that although it is interesting that people can interpret each area corresponding with one of the 5 stages of grief, you're only looking at it in one way. If you look at it the way that they intended, then you would see multiple emotions in each of the areas. So like each of the area you can go to, and there'll be a lot of people that are mad about something, a lot of people that are depressed about something, a lot of people that end up being happy about something. So like in Icona Valley, there's like the family that you have to protect, and at first it's kind of sad because the dad was turned into the what was it, the Gibdo. So and then once you save them, they're happy and grateful, but then you have right next to it is one of the Poe brothers who is like vengeful and angry and spiteful. And then you have an Icona Castle. There are characters that basically just want forgiveness or whatever. So it's like an Icona Valley, which is supposed to be based off of just one single emotion, which is what the theory suggests. There's actually tons of different emotions. So, and that's the same for every area. So, Aonuma, whenever, I think it was Aonuma, it might have been one of the other people, said if you play through the game and you only put one emotion, then you're literally playing through the game wrong, because you're not seeing all of the other emotion that they worked on to put in each of these characters at each of the areas. And then there's the obvious thing that's like, if Link died as a child before Majora's Mask begins, how is he an adult skeleton in Twilight Princess? How does he, if he dies as a child, how does he get married and have a kid?
Exactly.
How does his body end up being buried next to Hyrule Castle in Twilight Princess if he died somewhere else? So it's like Twilight Princess alone disproves the theory. And then like in the theory, he even uses Twilight Princess as an example as why it's right, where he's like, he's a skeleton in Twilight Princess because he died, and when you die, your body turns into a skeleton. It's like, well, if that was true, the hero shade would be like 3 feet tall in Twilight Princess, not a full adult.
Over Twilight Princess Link.
Yeah. So, like, the whole theory is just stupid. In one of the videos, I even like got really close to the microphone like this and said that if you, which I'll say again, if you actually believe the Link is dead theory, please unsubscribe. We don't want stupid people here.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my current favorite, because it changes, and the worst theory. So
I think that was a pretty good self-picked question.
Yeah. with that, we are all shots fired. I've been saying it for years and years, Jacob. If he's dead as a child, he'd be a stall child, not a Stallfos.
He'd be a
well, either way, he'd be like a child skeleton, not an adult skeleton. But with that said, everybody, thank you for watching the I forgot the name of the podcast. So long, I forget. I say so much. I'm usually a quiet person. Yeah, I'm usually a quiet person. So
I was gonna say Jesse's been doing a lot of talking this podcast.
Well, Daniel's not here. He's the usual co-host person. Anyways, this has been the Hylian's Gamescast episode. What Jesse is dead to me. Alright.
That's a good episode.
This has been the Hylian's Gamescast episode 33, I believe. This was the Zelda mailbag. Earlier we talked about all sorts of news, which you can also find on the channel, about the new Pokemon game on Switch, about potential new Zelda, Star Fox. Other stuff was mentioned for some reason. Link's crossbow training. Cross your fingers for a sequel. So we covered a lot of really cool news. Go check those out. We talked about the top 5 Zelda games that deserve sequels. Go check those out. And if you've watched the video this whole way through, whether it was live or the full episode of the Zelda mailbag, you're probably a huge fan of the podcast, which if you are, go check out our Patreon channel where you can suggest topics and questions, or you can head over to teespring.com/GameOverJesseNew to buy our new shirt, which is really cool. Daniel, Kayla, and I will all be wearing it around E3 time, so I gotta take them their shirts, and then after E3 maybe we'll do podcasts or episodes where we're sporting the shirts, so go check them out. Be a cool kid, and thank you for watching. And I almost forgot. Kayla.
Yes.
Who are you? Why should people care about you? And where can they follow you?
Okay, well, I'm Kayla. You can find me as Chublima on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. I'm gonna keep saying RuneScape. None of you guys have added me, and I'm really offended. I'm also the co-host to Jesse's show. And yeah.
You have a new job with the channel as well.
Oh, yeah, I do. So, if you guys are following our Facebook page, I don't remember what it's called.
It's just Zelda News and Theories, but it's
yes.
It was made
Zelda News and Theories.
It was made slightly before the YouTube channel got popular, but it's facebook.com/GameOverJesse. So just search Game Over Jesse. There is a Facebook group with about 1,000 people. And then there is a Facebook page that you can go and like that posts all sorts of Zelda memes and questions and cool stuff.
Yeah, so come check that out because I post on there daily now. I'm posting memes, questions. I'll upload there as well anytime that video or Jesse has a new video that he's uploaded to his channel. So yeah, come back. Let's chat about theories and stuff.
So again, Twitter everywhere is Chublima.
Everywhere is Chublima now.
Alright, and Ilya, where can people find you aside from Hyrule?
Aside from Hylian.
So is that, I want to ask, is that from Twilight Princess Ilya?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because I was really into Twilight Princess when I...
Because I had that reference in one of the scripts that I didn't know.
Yep, that was actually why, yeah. So, that was when I signed up for, Ilya Rose, horse emoji, rose emoji, hashtag Secret Zeldas. You can find me on Twitter. I don't post there often. I mainly am on there to follow other YouTubers at Rose_Ilya. That's just how it came up. I don't know why. On Instagram, Ilya Rose_Geek Apprentice. And YouTube, I have a solid 2 videos, one with a giant water that basically say I'm gonna post videos eventually. So just Ilya Rose. I think it's 2 words on there, but you'll recognize my face. That is where you find me. I post pictures on Instagram of nerdy things, honestly.
Nice.
So yeah,
I think I
don't
need
do
to
much
follow
yet, but I will.
I don't know if I'm following you on Instagram. So I guess I need
you
to.
on Instagram.
All right. I'm not following.
I just started following Kayla on Twitter because I follow her before.
Yeah, I had an issue to where on Twitter I assumed anyone that was following me were fans of my YouTube channel, so I would just follow back instantly everyone that followed me. And I started doing the same thing on Twitter, but when you do that, you follow back a bunch of either fake accounts or there are accounts where it's someone that's famous and they're just following like hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you look and they have like 1 million followers, but then they got like 1 million people they're following.
Yeah.
Or the bad thing that's happened lately is I'll follow someone back, and then one day I'll be scrolling through my feed and they'll be like basically porn, and then I'll have to go through and unfollow them because some cam girl or porn person. Yeah, and then it gets really bad because my little brother likes to get on my iPad and like scroll through, so I gotta make sure it's clean. Yeah. So if you're a fan of my channel and you followed me and I haven't followed you back, that is why I stopped following back people because of this. But if you do want me to follow you, just message me, tell me you like my videos or something, and then that usually gets an instant follow. So yeah, but yeah, Game Theory Podcast dies in Majora's Mask. Yeah, who was it? There was he was kicked from the Discord because he was such a troll. Although I want him back in, but the admins don't, so
RIP.
Yeah. What was his name though? Korean Bats in the Discord. He's
I don't think I met Korean Bats.
Yeah, he was too much of a troll. It offended some people. So he was kicked out, but I was a fan of his. All of his great Zelda memes, and then he always trolls me on Twitter. So when I ask a question, like there was one time I posted like, why did the cuckoo cross the road? And then he replied to it and was like, because Link died in Majora's Mask.
Oh that's what that was. I saw that response.
Because he knows how much we all hate, or at least I and Daniel hate the Link is dead theory. Well, yeah. So he always replies with like, because Link died in Majora's Mask. Or if we're talking about something like what happens at the end of Infinity War, he'll say like, Iron Man dies in Majora's Mask. Like he'll just take something random and mix it with Link being dead in Majora's Mask.
What a jerk.
Yeah, not saying whether or not Iron Man does die in Infinity War. So yeah, I was
Your soul dies in Infinity War. Everyone
yeah.
Alright guys.
So yeah, follow Jablima, follow Rose_Ilya, follow Game Over Jesse. Thank you to the 30 people who are still watching us talk about nonsense. Good night to the people that fell asleep watching. And we are out. Buy a shirt.